Good evening. I call to order this regular meeting of the Verona Township Council for Monday, the 15th of December, 2025. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act compliance statement?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township Council. The meeting time and date were included in the public meeting notice, along with the public internet link and telephone call-in information. Said notice and meeting agenda was posted in the municipal building and sent to the official newspapers of the Township, the Verona City Grove Times, and Star Ledger, at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and handouts can be viewed online at veronanj.org/council meetings. A public comment period will be held in the order it's listed on the meeting agenda, and instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland? Here. Councilwoman McGrath?
Here.
Councilman Roman?
Here.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Present.
Mayor Tamburo?
Here.
Mayor also present is Township Attorney Brian Aloya, Township Manager Kevin O'Sullivan, Deputy Township Manager Michael Kraus, myself, Municipal Clerk Jennifer Kiernan.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Coulter, I'm going to call you up first today.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and the mic is not on.
Just hold the button
Hold the button
for
for 2
down.
seconds.
I'll let the record reflect that you said good evening.
They always lie to me. I'm trying. I'm usually loud.
Councilman Roman, go get him.
And you're off. Oh, there we go. We're good.
Good, is it lit up?
It should be, it should be green there, but
Oh, it should be green.
should be green on the top of the microphone like this. Just tap on it. Yeah, no, that's not.
It's a very simple report, though. So I only have 2 things.
Just speak loudly.
Yeah, that might work.
So I think I'm loud enough. Happy holidays to you and the council, and congratulations to everyone that's here, especially the police department, since that's my former career. Again, we have holiday lights at Turtleback Zoo. It's ongoing from tonight until January 3rd. The only days we are closed would be December 24th, December 25th, and January 1st. So the lights are great, magnificent. County executive had added more this year. So please come out and join us, especially the young ladies and families here, without a doubt. The other thing is starting, I know this is near and dear to your heart, Hilltop Reservation. We have our deer management program, which will start at Hilltop January 8th, then the 15th, the 22nd, the 29th, February 5th, 12th, and 19th. You should be receiving a postcard in the mail regarding the dates and times and the rain dates. And Mayor, have a wonderful holiday season to the council. And any questions, comments?
No? Anything for Mr. Coulter?
Happy holiday back.
Happy holidays to you and everybody at the
Thank
county.
you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all the teams.
Thank you. Just a few short items for the mayor's report. Just wanted to thank everybody for participating in Fair in the Square. It was another record-breaking Fair in the Square. And especially to Elisa Northrup, who coordinates the event, our police department, fire department, EMS, public works, buildings and grounds, emergency management. Everybody played a role in having a really successful event. And of course, we can't forget Santa Claus for lighting the tree. The Verona Environmental Commission met since our last meeting. During the meeting, they appointed 2 junior commissioners, Violet Palmer and Scarlett Morin. They're both Verona High School students and will be doing specific projects related to environmental work and participating in VEC events. So congratulations. They're the 3rd class of junior environmental commissioners. I urge you to take a look at the Verona Environmental Commission winter newsletter when that comes out. And the council should have received the VEC's annual report which was quite detailed and a great example of what our commissions are doing in town. I'd like to congratulate the Verona Women's Club on another successful Share Your Light night. If you did not drive by Town Hall at that time, it was really stunning. And throughout town, we had a couple roads, at least that I saw, that had huge participation and a lot of folks just really sharing that neighborhood spirit. And finally, our Hanukkah celebration is tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Verona Community Center, and I look forward to seeing everybody there. And at this point, I'd like to recognize the Verona Suburban Volleyball League champions from Verona. Ladies, it's great to see you here. Before we do our certificates, we talk about a lot of the things that bring Verona together, and I think our athletic programs really do that. And not only do they represent athleticism, but also teamwork and positivity and community building. So I congratulate you not only on your winning, but also on all the work that you had to do and all the skills that you developed. And I'd also congratulate your coaches for really fostering those and being great examples. And I thank our community services department, Mrs. Prisco is in the gallery today, for helping to coordinate those programs. We're really lucky to have a beautiful facility right at our Verona Community Center to host these events. So I'm going to step down, and when we call your name, just come on up and then stay up in the gallery. Do you want to come down and help me? Sure. Can do one. Look at this.
Right.
We are learning our new system here, and now we have a portable microphone. Never give a politician a microphone. Okay. All right. We call your name. You can come up. I could shake your hand, and the deputy mayor will give you your certificate and your lovely folder. Number 15, Lucy Caruso. Congratulations. There you go, make a thing in here. Number 2, Olivia Denuso. Congratulations, Olivia. Number 1, Ava DeMeo. Number 13, Maura Field. Congratulations, Maura. Number 6, Maria Gabriel. Congratulations, Maria. Number 9, Gwyneth Gettings. No? Number 12, Hannah. And Hannah, I'm going to let you know. Hannah's not here? Okay. Number 7, Mila Mendez-Kaimowitz. And Mila, I'm really sorry if I completely butchered your name. Do you want to say it? No, you're good? Okay. All right. Number 3, Lexi Odell. Congratulations, Lexi. Number 8, Stevie Place. Number 14, Ava Schumacher. Nope. Number 11, Lily Simon. And number 10, Aubrey Toder. Nope. Number 4, Eleonora Walker. Congratulations. And number 5, Whitney Wilkins. And I'd also like to recognize our coaches, Jennifer Zimmer and John Odell. All right, now if we could get the council down here, we're going to ask you all to kind of step forward. Now, some of you are going to kind of be as tall as us, so why don't we get half of you to move a little bit this way and make 2 rows? Like, I don't know, the people that are in the back of volleyball, stand in the front here. Does that work?
No.
So if you're shorter, stand in the front. There you go. Taller in the back. If you scoot over a little bit, I'll get between you guys. And we'll get everybody in. There you go.
appreciate it.
Between the rows here.
Yeah.
You guys will be as tall as Debbie and our Mac boys soon.
You guys ready? I guess just look in the center. Everybody's taking pictures. So we'll do a few cell phones. There you go. Good. Hold on. Hold on, let me look. Oh, that's nice.
That is an official photograph. All right, congratulations.
You're good. It's on.
Yeah, turn it off.
No, I might have been. If it's green, it's
Yeah.
but if you're muted, it's the green.
Yeah, turn it on. There.
Come on. Burn the whole thing.
Feel free to take any of the empty seats, folks, and
It's not going in.
Yeah, we need to, go to steal someone else's and swap it out, just the mic.
all right. At this time, I would like to invite Chief Christopher Kiernan of the Verona Police Department to come forward. Chief,
He's not here.
he wants to make an entrance. All right.
Nope, it's on.
There you go.
This green light doesn't work on that.
Good evening, Chief.
How are you?
Good.
Do you want to do the?
Why don't you talk first, and then we'll do the
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
we'll do the proclamations.
Sure.
We didn't have dress rehearsal tonight, so
We did not. Okay, so change this up a little bit, but thank you very much for this recognition. Mayor and Council, Mr. O'Sullivan, Mr. Kraus, Mr. Loya. It's so important to recognize what came out of this very unfortunate incident. This horrific incident really put a spotlight and made it very clear that your Verona police officers are a courageous, dedicated, and exceptionally talented bunch. Running towards danger, running into chaos that was being described as multiple shooters at multiple locations, and running in to protect lives, restore order, and help as many as they could. Sergeant Aaron Subert, let's take a step forward, Aaron. He was a patrol supervisor the night of the incident and rushed into that chaos, provided aid to the victims, and established scene control. Officer Shane Daly. Officer Daly was the first officer on the scene, provided life-saving aid to the critically injured victim. But I'd like to share this part of the story. Earlier the evening, Officer Daly was out on patrol. Being alert as he always is, he had made a motor vehicle stop for a traffic offense that he observed. Later that night, the driver of that vehicle was involved in this incident. Turned out to be one of our shooters. So when surveillance video was collected a few hours after the incident, Officer Daly immediately and positively identified the individual. Officer Frank O'Neill. Officer O'Neill also ran into the scene and established order. But again, earlier in the evening while on routine patrol, tending to his own responsibilities, he happened to be driving in an adjacent lane on Lakeside Avenue and passed 4 vehicles of interest that were captured in his in-car camera, which is also an automated license plate reader. Again, when combing through surveillance video after the incident, we positively identified the 4 vehicles that we observed the suspects leaving in from Officer O'Neill's footage. So again, it just shows how these Verona officers are out there constantly making observations, and the smallest little detail can play a big part. Dispatcher Santulli. Dispatcher Santulli received over 20 incoming calls and made 6 outgoing calls in the first 6 minutes of the incident. These calls included, as you can imagine, hysterical victims screaming for help, frightened witnesses, some who originally did not know their exact location, as well as area businesses who were sheltering in place, asking for the police to come get them. He also directed all resources from the Verona Police, Rescue Squad, as well as 11 surrounding police agencies who were responding to provide assistance. Also that night, Lieutenant Robert Giuliano, Sergeant T.J. Conroy, and Officer Anthony Huber, as well as our per diem dispatcher, Edward Conlon. We're very lucky to have Dispatcher Conlon, as he's a retired police lieutenant from Cedar Grove. They all responded to a message for assistance while off duty. They immediately suited up and came in to provide much needed assistance to the chaotic scene. Detective Lieutenant Timothy Bantha led and oversaw all aspects of the investigation and led his team of Detective Lieutenant Anthony O'Connor, Detective Sergeant Robert McGuire, and Detective Giovanni DeSoma. This investigation was a Herculean task with so many pieces of evidence, 4 shooters, 4 victims, and literally hundreds of scraps of partial information to follow. Ballistic leads, vehicle leads, photographic and suspect leads, and flushing each and every piece to see what was valid. The team was relentless in chasing down each and every one of them, uncovering every stone and piecing together a solid case. Interviews, deep investigative searches, surveillance details, and old school investive guile built a strong case, a case that is still continuing to evolve to this day, and information is still being tracked by them. So what I can share a little bit about this case. First suspect was positively identified within 5 hours after the shooting. Suspect 2 and 3 were identified 13 hours later, and cases against all 3 were being put together, and affidavits were being reviewed by our prosecutor's office. Suspect 1 was arrested within 36 hours of the incident. 1 day later, suspect 2, learning Verona police had an active warrant, were knocking on doors looking for him, turned himself in. 1 day later, a search warrant is executed on suspect 3 and a firearm is retrieved. Following day, suspect 3 is taken into custody near his home. 3 suspects arrested within 5 days. Also in those same 5 days, 3 search warrants were executed and an astonishing amount of intelligence and investigative background was gathered. The work put in by the Verona police officers and detectives humbles me to work among them. They worked tirelessly on this incident to make certain that each and every potential lead was followed. We're thankful for the investment in crime-fighting technology that the Township Administration and Council has authorized over the past few years, as it played a critical and crucial role in establishing information that led to these arrests. I'm thankful to Chief Mitch McGuire from Essex County Prosecutor's Office and his homicide task force that assisted our officers. We're thankful to Essex County Sheriff Amir Jones, who called me while still on the scene and offered the Sheriff's Department's resources. I'm also thankful to Newark Police Director Manny Miranda, who immediately contacted me and opened his department's resources and assistance with ballistic analysis on evidence we collected. It was a well-orchestrated and coordinated effort by all facets of law enforcement in Essex County. We thank the people of Verona for their patience and support, and we continue to keep those injured and all those affected by this event at the forefront of our thoughts. And we again thank this council for their commitment to Verona's public safety system.
Thank you, Chief. We do have a proclamation, and I'm going to read that now, and then we'll call up our officers individually. Whereas sworn officers and civilian support staff of the Verona Police Department dedicate their professional lives to securing the Township of Verona for the safety of all residents and guests. And whereas Verona police officers and dispatchers complete extensive training to respond to critical incidents involving active violence and significant threats to public safety. And whereas police professionals are called upon in a moment's notice to neutralize dangerous and complex situations, restore public order, and preserve life and limb. And whereas on March 15th, 2025 at 10:59 p.m., a verbal altercation between 2 individuals resulting in a violent incident resulted in 4 suspects discharging firearms in Municipal Lot 1, resulting in 4 individuals suffering gunshot wounds. And whereas dispatcher Mario Santulli received numerous 911 calls reporting the incident and immediately notified on-duty police units, resulting in the quick response of Sergeant Aaron Subert, Patrol Officer Shane Daly, and Patrol Officer Frank O'Neill, and further requested additional resources from surrounding municipalities. Whereas responding officers aware of the dangers they faced immediately secured the scene and mitigated the threat to the public, saving lives and restoring order. And whereas the officers quickly employed their first aid training to render critical medical care to those suffering from life-threatening gunshot wounds. And whereas officers secured evidence and conducted timely preliminary investigations that resulted in the department being able to quickly identify suspects. And whereas the Verona Police Department Detective Bureau, including Detective Lieutenant Timothy Banta, Lieutenant Anthony O'Connor, Detective Robert McGuire, Detective Giovanni DeSoma, responded to the incident and conducted a thorough and distinguished investigation in the following days that resulted in the timely arrest of 3 suspects. And whereas off-duty personnel, including Lieutenant Robert Giuliano, Sergeant Thomas Conroy, Officer Anthony Huber, and Dispatcher Edward Conlon, responded to an urgent request for additional manpower and served vital roles in the developing incident. Whereas the conduct of the responding officers, Detective Bureau, reflect the highest standards of professionalism, bravery, and service of the Verona Police Department and the noble calling of law enforcement. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Dr. Christopher Tamboro, Mayor of the Township of Verona, hereby proclaim the sincerest appreciation of the Township for Sergeant Aaron Subert, Officer Daly, Officer O'Neill, Dispatcher Santulli, Detective Lieutenant Banta, Lieutenant O'Connor, Sergeant McGuire, Detective DeSoma, Lieutenant Giuliano, Sergeant Conroy, Officer Huber, and Dispatcher Conlon, and call upon all residents to join me in recognizing them for their extraordinary service to our community. In witness whereof, I appear to set my hand and cause the official seal of Township of Verona, New Jersey, to be affixed on this 15th day of December in the year 2025. Congratulations. Sergeant Super. Officer Daly. Oh, Harry, you got to stay up here, bud. Officer O'Neill. Dispatcher Santulli. Detective Lieutenant Banta. Lieutenant O'Connor. Sergeant McGuire. Detective DeSoma. Lieutenant Giuliano. You can clap for him anyway. He's a good guy. All right. Sergeant Conroy. Officer Huber. And Dispatcher Conlon. All right, now we're going to have to arrange ourselves. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, you be in the front. Oh, and we have. Eric, you get that.
They're all like 7 feet tall. So.
Yeah. Council in the front, council in the front.
Okay, don't go anywhere because when we're done with this, we got to get the captain and the chief up as well, and everybody else.
Right. Good.
The official picture.
All right, with some cell phones, hold on. Good, smile, good, smile, good, good, good. Hold on.
You're almost as bad as my husband.
Here we go.
No one takes better pictures, though.
Here we go. Here we go. Hold on. Good.
Okay, now, the rest of the police department here, come on. Come on. Everybody come in. It's not optional. You want your budget
Come on,
approved?
Joe. Come on, Joe.
They got to kneel in front.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do like softball pictures, kind of.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Chief, come on, no, Chief.
Come on, chief, come on, chief.
And Captain.
I'll go after the phone.
I'll jump in. I'll jump in.
Wait,
No.
oh boy.
No, no screen. Just look through here.
What do you?
Here we go.
I'm here.
Hey, I know you were so cool.
I'm here.
Yeah, it's not working for us.
Ricky will do it.
Yeah, I may have tooled around with this once or twice before. Fingerprints.
Yeah, put it on auto.
I'm already blocking you guys in front
Oh,
of
there
me.
you go.
Turn it on.
As we said, camera.
No.
There you go. Good job.
Thank you.
You caught them all. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, it's my bad.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Come on.
I have it somewhere.
That's all right.
What is it? 1, 2, or 3? 2?
I had the mic. There it is. All right.
We used to have
Yeah, we
nameplates.
don't know
I don't know
where
where
There
they
are
are.
nameplates. That's actually an interesting.
What?
Yeah, where do nameplates go?
And he just
Oh,
pointed
you
out
know
we don't have nameplates. So
You didn't have them last meeting either.
that's funny. Nobody noticed. We know who we are
Sorry.
at this
I
point.
think-
You just got to put them on the back of this.
I blame Lenny then.
All right.
Took our nameplates home.
I was going to call up Verona Rescue Squad President Ricky Tempesta, but he seems to have left the room. Right? Come.
Ricky.
Okay.
He thinks he's a hotshot photographer.
I think the chief did a great job. No one wants to hear me speak.
Oh.
Is this on? There we go.
Yeah.
So first, thank you to everyone. I apologize I didn't prepare a speech. I found out relatively last minute I was speaking, but needless to say, thank you for the town council, town manager, assistant town manager, and the police department for all their support. We train in and day out, and generally speaking, a lot of our calls are lower priority. In this case, it obviously was not, but the call to action came and no one hesitated. Between both the ambulances we had in service, because one was out of service at the time, plus an ambulance from Cedar Grove and Montclair, the whole area kind of responded in a coordinated effort. Give a lot of credit to Sergeant, Supert. Unfortunately, I'm not going to talk about myself, but I've been on a lot of shootings throughout my career, both working as a nurse and as a medic, and it was probably one of the most well-controlled, best scenes I've ever been on. And at no point did I not feel safe, which is half the battle when you're trying to care for people. That all being said, it couldn't have been done without the time and hours and training that all of the members put in, with zero compensation and hundreds of hours of trainings and retrainings and drills and everything else. It leads up to an event that takes like 30 minutes to an hour, and there's hundreds of hours of training between stop the bleed, incident management, active shooter training, etc. So overall, I just wanted to thank the town council for all their support, as well as the membership, because none of them had to go running into the fray, as it were.
Thank you. All right. We have a proclamation for the rescue squad as well. And it reads, whereas the Verona Rescue Squad, an entirely volunteer organization, is sole provider of emergency medical services to all residents and guests of the Township of Verona. And whereas Verona Rescue Squad members complete thousands of hours of training each year, including drills on common skills and advanced classes on mass casualty incidents, special operations, bleeding control, and response to incidents of mass violence. Whereas in their oath upon joining the organization, members of the Verona Rescue Squad swear that after their own safety and that of their crew, that their first priority shall be the care and welfare of the patients and the communities that they serve. Whereas on March 15th, 2025 at 10:59 p.m., a verbal altercation between two individuals resulted in a violent incident with 4 suspects discharging firearms in Municipal Lot 1, resulting in 4 individuals suffering gunshot wounds. Whereas, despite acute awareness of the dangers of such an incident, 7 of the Verona Rescue Squad's on and off-duty volunteer emergency medical technicians responded to render care to the 2 injured parties who remained at the scene. And whereas the response was coordinated by Captain Frederick C. Tempesta, who assisted police in rendering early treatment of a critically injured party, and included 2 ambulances staffed by EMTs Sarah Marriott, Nicholas Polidoro, Jonathan Pryor, Jaden Safras, Christopher Sluck, and Christopher Tamboro. And whereas despite challenges, the EMS crews worked quickly to assess and treat patients, and both Verona Rescue Squad ambulances transported the injured parties to the Level 1 Trauma Center at University Hospital in Newark. Whereas the incident required the EMTs to utilize their advanced training and extraordinary judgment during a complex emergency, demonstrating the utmost professionalism and distinguished skills of the responding volunteers. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Dr. Christopher Tamboro, Mayor of the Township of Verona, hereby proclaim the sincerest appreciation of the Township for EMTs Marriott, Polidoro, Pryor, Safras, Sluck, and Tempesta, and call upon all residents to join me in recognizing them for their extraordinary service to our community. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the official seal of the Township of Verona, New Jersey, to be affixed on this 15th day of December in the year 2025. Congratulations. Before I call up the squad members, I just wanted to make a quick note, and Ricky touched on this before. Most people tend to go in the other direction of gunshots. And that evening, you had a lot of people from EMS and police that went in that direction. And the one reason, as somebody who was involved, is you don't go in that way unless you trust wholeheartedly, without reservation, the police department and your partners. So I thank the Verona Police Department for really setting the example for what a municipal law enforcement agency should be, with the training, the professionalism that you always exemplify. And I thank the rescue squad for putting in hours as volunteers to try and reach that same level of professionalism. So thank you, and we'll call you down. A few of our folks are not here. All right, EMT Marriott, Sarah Marriott, come on up. EMT Polidoro is not here tonight, but we can clap for him. EMT Pryor. Sorry. EMT Safras. EMT Sluck, I don't see this evening, and EMT Tempesta. And we have a big one for the building. Thank you, Mrs. Kiernan, for getting these all framed. I want a couple of you guys move that way. One of these. And we get council down.
Oh, good for you.
Wow, and we'll probably get over stand.
That was the mayor's.
Good, right here. Yeah, here we go. Hold on. Here we go. Good. Perfect. Good job.
All right. If we could get all the responders for one picture. So the police department, if you want to kind of come in, pretend to be, see if we can fit everybody.
Good job, guys. Thanks for showing up.
Step up.
You guys are just
Come on.
I even more like higher.
I'm on the shorter side.
I feel that.
Good. Here we go. Hold on.
I love how he takes out a holster.
Good job. Perfect.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for everything.
Maybe what they have.
Thanks for being here. Nice to see you. Chief, thank you.
I feel so fancy now. I got my nameplate back.
I didn't know he had brought them back either.
Back to officially being here.
I was just sitting here. I assumed it was my chair.
We are identified.
So, yes,
We are.
and they're in the right places.
Looks about right.
So,
All right.
I got enough of Jen.
yeah.
Take care, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good night. All right. All right, Mr. O'Sullivan.
How about real quick? Can I have the floor?
Sure.
Since we have one extra and you just mentioned yourself in the
Oh,
proclamation, I'm
I
gonna
did
oh,
make
thank
one.
you.
leave the extra one for Dr. Christopher Tambora. who's
I
also
appreciate it.
present.
Thank you.
Everybody ran before.
Yeah, I was hoping when I wrote the proclamation nobody would notice that I left myself out. But thank you, Deputy Mayor. I appreciate it. All right, moving on to the Township Manager's Report, Mr. O'Sullivan.
Right, thank you, Mayor. Given the hour and the length of the agenda, I will forego the majority of my report, but I would like to request Mr. Plasek come to the podium, provide an update on the affordable housing, fourth round affordable housing matter, and the current status and actions before the council tonight.
Just by way of introduction, Mr. Plotchek is our affordable housing attorney from the Dakotas Law Firm and has been working with us for quite a while. So, Mr. Plotchek.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. The reason we're here tonight is we've reached agreement in principle with two of the remaining challengers that will, in essence, resolve significantly, or not all, of the challenge issues with respect to the housing element and fair share plan for the fourth round as it was adopted by our Township Planning Board and as it was endorsed by this governing body. As you will recall, we have a prospective need, as was set by the court, of 155 units for the fourth round, which for the time period of 2025 to 2035. Of this, we had a realistic development potential calculated of 58 units, and that has now increased based upon negotiations with Fair Share Housing Center and certain vacant land analysis adjustments to a number of 65 units. And we are satisfying that as a township with your constitutional obligation to provide the opportunity for affordable housing with the creation of 72 units pursuant to the plan with specific projects within the plan. Included within those projects are, in addition, DMH2, which is resolved. That'll be a new project coming on board. A&R Skyline Properties, which is the property on 885 Bluefield Avenue. And while this property is vacant land, it's property that was going to be developed at some point, and it's always able to be developed with a density of approximately 12 units an acre which would have been 21 or 22 units as of right development. They challenged in the pending declaratory judgment action, which will ultimately end up in your judgment of compliance and repose, and will immunize the township from any further litigation known as builder's remedies, and attempt to build projects within the township by asserting a claim of being able to provide affordable units by slightly increasing that allowed density to 28 units, which will provide for a 20% credit at the end towards the constitutional obligation to provide affordable housing, which is the 6-unit credit. So by allowing that 28 units, it generates what's necessary. And so permitting that additional density, which is something that is not only provided for, but promoted by the program and the regulations, that's how that will be accomplished. The other property at issue is 251.5 Grove. And while there was a specific challenge filed with respect to a certain project on that property, what is being done through negotiation with Fair Share Housing Center through the program that's provided for by the Fair Housing Act is change in zoning for that property, which will allow for family residential units with, excuse me, a 20% set aside for affordable units. And that 20% set aside is consistent with another change that will be made to the housing element and fair share plan, and then ultimately the ordinance of the municipality is, as it stands, we currently provide 15% set aside for rental units, 20% set aside for sale units. That 15% will increase to 20, so it will be a 20% across the board set aside of affordable units for whether a project is proposed with 5 or more units of rental project or a for sale project. And that has a large part to do with the fact, and this dates back to round 2, that we're now a vacant land adjustment town because of what is remaining and allowed to be or available to be developed within the municipality. Other changes that were considered were changes to the TCMU overlay zone, but that by agreement is going to stay as zoned and in place, and that will wait until 2030 to provide 5 years, because while that was initially a third round useful tool to address unmet need, and we do have an unmet need, which is the difference between your prospective need and your realistic development potential of 90 units. There's some discrepancy between how we interpret the act and Fair Share interprets the act. So at some event, that number to provide for will be 23 units or greater, and that will be provided, allowing the TCMU overlay zone to stay as is until 2030 to see if that does result in the development of any projects which would produce units. And a slight amendment to the town center zone, and included in that is currently that zone provides for a 50-50 split of floor area between residential units and non-residential. That will be removed, that 50-50 split, and that will be replaced with a sliding scale density. So the greater the size of the property, the greater the development potential, the greater density that would be permitted. And that sums it up in a nutshell. This is the culmination of work that honestly has been ongoing for over a year and a half now, because the 2024, when the new amendments to the act came out with respect to the 4th round of affordable housing, your planners immediately started, and I started working on developing how that was going to be applied and researching, and your planners, especially on this end, did a lot of heavy lifting with researching historically and within the town specific properties, because when the state DCA came out with its numbers for projected prospective needs, there were properties that were discovered by the planners that were not being treated properly by DCA in its analysis. And so that was the initial drawdown. And through the efforts and strong positions taken by this governing body and the assistance of the Township Planning Board, we are where we are now with a final housing element and fair share plan that ultimately, once adopted as amended, will move the township into the 4th round, govern the 4th round, and provide for the 4th round, and immunize the township from builders' remedy lawsuits, which is the most important and the goal of what you want to achieve as a township. And for tonight, in order to effectuate and move these forward, I placed 2 resolutions on the agenda. one being approving and authorizing execution of a settlement agreement with A&R Skyline Properties for their specific project, which will then be morphed into the amended housing element fair share plan with its requirements. And then a second resolution authorizing execution of a settlement agreement with Fair Share Housing Center, which will encompass these other changes to the housing element and fair share plan that have been discussed. And what that will do is remove those two as challenges or pending challenges or challengers to the adoption of the housing element and fair share plan and endorsement of that plan as proposed by the court through the program and then the court, the county Mount Laurel judge. And removing those two challenges will ultimately achieve the endorsement of the plan as it's to be amended by these settlements by the program judge to the county Mount Laurel judge, which would put us then at a final judgment of compliance with the fourth round affordable constitutional obligation of the township to provide affordable housing units.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Plotchek? I mean, just one, Jamie. Can you get into a little bit what that 885 settlement looks like?
What it is so under our statutory system, it's already within an area in need of redevelopment. So it's been designated as being needed to be redeveloped. Because of that, the township has certain controls and opportunities to regulate and take control, so to speak, of the development of that property. So pursuant to that settlement, a redevelopment plan will be developed that will be led by your consulting planners, and it will go through both this governing body and first, and then to the planning board ultimately for review. And that will govern and allow for the zoning that will permit this unit. So rather than just standard zoning where an applicant could come in and say, I have an as of right application, we have to develop the zoning. So the township maintains control over how that zoning will be developed to control this project that's going to be developed. And the density will be limited to the 28 units, and it will require the set aside obligations for the affordable units, the 4 units that have to be set aside to allow to provide and help the township satisfy its constitutional obligation to provide affordable housing. And in addition to that, we have what's called the long-term tax exemption law. And that law, in effect, when you do a project under the local redevelopment housing law as an area need project, and it's also combined with the fact that this project is being used to satisfy, because without this project, you would lose 6 units towards satisfying your obligation of providing affordable housing. You're able to provide for a tax abatement. So, but this project will move forward in the normal course. The applicant, the owner / developer, will submit an application for that, a pilot application is called payment in lieu of traditional taxes, and for that abatement program. And abatement doesn't mean they do not pay any tax. What that would mean is that application will be reviewed by your financial consultants, and if it's determined to meet the statutory threshold that makes it eligible for the abatement, it would be a 30-year tax abatement period. And what it would pay percentage of each, with respect to each unit, a percentage of funds that would be paid. The land taxes would continue to be paid as is. Land taxes, property taxes do not go away. Those funds continue to be collected by the township, and they're divvied up as they always would be. The township takes its share, the county takes its share, school board takes its share. That those funds are not treated any differently. But then the amount that is paid towards that land tax obligation is treated as a credit against the ultimate amount that's calculated to be the pilot obligation, the abatement obligation, and then that delta, the amount over and above that land tax, 95% of that goes to the township and 5% goes to the county. And again, this is all by statute. It's not something that we created. It's not something the township created. These are all state-provided programs, and in large part because of the recognition that when a project is providing units to satisfy a township's affordable housing obligation, those units are not going to generate the same level of revenue. So when a developer or project or property owner presents their bottom line, say to a financier, to a lender is going to look at that, and those units are going to impact that. A lender will likely not fund a project because it requires the same level of revenue across the board for all the units to generate the revenue that satisfies a lender's level of risk as to a project. What this does is, under the long-term tax exemption law, with a pilot payment arrangement, a financial agreement providing for that, you know with stability what your obligations are going to be, whereas traditionally assessed tax, you could go up and up and up and not necessarily understand or know the same level of control. For instance, you couldn't predict the same level of property tax on a property today as in 10 years from today, but you under a pilot agreement, under the long-term tax, again, a state statutory law that was created by the state and enforced, allowable for the municipalities to utilize, you would be able to tell today in year 10 as a percentage what kind of risk obligation you're looking at, which satisfies lenders and helps keep the marketability and the saleability of the project to be developed to be able to be offered. So those 24 unit offerings of the market units is what's able to generate the 6 credit satisfaction for the municipality, the township.
And can you give the public an idea of where the unit number started and where it ended? And we know where it ended, but if you can just say kind of where it started.
The first iteration of this project was a 60-unit project, which was negotiated down ultimately to a 38-unit number was being proposed. And ultimately, through the efforts of this governing body that stayed strong on a number, we ended up at the 28-unit number for that site.
And so it's less than half of the original number.
Original, yes.
And how many bedrooms will each?
There will be 2-bedroom unit townhomes. There will be no 3-bedroom unit. Only 2-bedroom plus den would be the largest unit.
Right. And what is your opinion on if the township were not to enter into this agreement, what would happen with that property?
Based upon our presentations and discussions and negotiations within the program and input from both the program judge and the special adjudicator, I am confident that we would be looking at that 38-unit number or greater.
So they would develop it without our
involvement. Correct. And the township would also lose some level of control via the redevelopment process as well.
And the concept plan as it appears now is effectively to extend the townhouse architecture development in Essex Fells.
It'll be an extension of that, essentially, while not factually or legally. Essentially that's where it's going. And I just caution that when looking at the concept plan, people should not look at that concept plan as this is the project that, landscaping and those types of things. What the owner developer tried to do was put as much in there as possible at this stage of the game. But what's important is they're bound by the unit number, which is 28, the bedroom distribution, and the square footage for each unit that's provided for within that plan. Those are really the important numbers. Some of the other issues may change as design goes forward. The township may see certain aspects or angles as beneficial changes, and other changes may be brought forward, but those numbers are what's important and what will stay.
And the design and all of that still has to go through the planning board.
Correct. This body first, then the planning board.
Questions, Mr. Plotchek? Just for the public edification, the council had an hour-long meeting prior to this meeting with Mr. Plotchek. So if we're not asking questions, it's because we asked them extensively in the meeting prior. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Plotchek.
Thank you.
The managers requested 2 resolutions be addressed now. At this point, I'm going to open actually for public comment on both of the resolutions, E1 and E2. E1 is the authorization of the execution of the agreement with Skyline Properties, and E2 is the memorandum of understanding between the township and Fair Share Housing Center. I'm sorry, before you go, the Madam Clerk just has to read the statement.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this matter, please raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button on your monitor. If you're dialing in by phone, press *9. If you're attending in person, please raise your hand before approaching the lectern. Once you are recognized, clearly state only your name and township of residence for the record. You are not required to provide your street address. However, if you do, please note that these meetings will be posted on the township's YouTube channel, and addresses will not be redacted for any purpose. You'll have 4 minutes to address the council, and there'll be no cross dialogue during this public portion. After everyone wishing to speak has been heard, the council may address your comments and/or questions.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ms. Gray?
Do I have to press any buttons?
No.
It's on?
It's on.
Okay.
Yep.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Michelle Bruet, Verona resident. I am a Verona resident speaking tonight about the resolution authorizing an agreement with A&R Skyline Properties regarding 885 Bloomfield Avenue, Block 2205, Lot 6. I want to be clear, this is not opposition to affordable housing. Verona has obligations and residents understand that. My concern is about consistency, scale, and whether the township is being asked to abandon its own planning assumptions under the pressure of litigation. This parcel is located in the A-3 residential townhouse zone, where townhouses are a conditional use and the maximum permitted density is 12 units per acre. At 1.77 acres, that translates to roughly 21 units before considering site constraints. In Verona's fourth round housing element and fair share plan, the township included this property in its vacant land analysis, but not at maximum density. The plan assumed 10 units per acre, resulting in a realistic development potential of about 17 to 18 units. That reduced density was used to demonstrate compliance with the state's affordable housing requirements. That distinction matters because the property owner, A&R Skyline, is now proposing, and perhaps this is now different, but when I knew the information, this is what I had, is now proposing a minimum of 60 units on this site, or roughly 34 units per acre. That is nearly 3 times the density used by the township in its own affordable housing plan and far beyond what zoning allows without substantial variances. I guess I'll just mention that if there is some sort of potential agreement at 28 units, that is still more than twice the units per acre that the township has in its affordable housing plan for this zoned area. So this creates a basic contradiction. If the site was suitable for 34 units per acre, then it should not have been counted at 10 units per acre in the vacant land analysis submitted to the state. And if the township's analysis was correct, which accounted for steep slopes, stormwater, and site limitations, then approving an agreement that contemplates triple that density or double that density undermines the integrity of the fair share plan itself. This parcel is also subject to Verona's steep slope ordinance, adopted to prevent overdevelopment on environmentally constrained land. Those protections were implicitly recognized in the vacant land analysis, but are largely absent from the developer's legal position. Tonight's resolution does not approve a site plan, but it does signal whether Verona will stand by its planning framework or retreat from it under pressure. I urge the council to proceed with caution. Any agreement should be fully consistent with existing zoning limits, the density assumptions used in the vacant land analysis, and the environmental protections codified in local ordinance. Finally, I respectfully urge the council to consider an alternative path, seriously exploring the purchase of this property for open space within the abilities of the Open Space Trust and related funding tools. Preserving this land would protect a constrained site, honor community concerns, and remove a flashpoint from future litigation, allowing affordable housing efforts to focus on sites better suited for development. Affordable housing compliance should not come at the expense of sound planning or common sense. Thank you for your time and for your service to the community.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, Kathleen Nitty. I also live in Verona. More or less a question, or two questions for the council is: if there were another site fulfilling the fair house requirement, would Skyline be able to build at that density? And by that I mean something like the quote unquote public parking lot that has been purchased that is not being developed but is vacant and could be used. And number two, has the council looked at pursuing joining neighboring towns fighting against the fair housing requirements? So those are my questions for the council.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'd close public comment at this point. I'll ask I'll just go a couple things on Ms. Gruet. I think it should be clear that no member of the council, at least I'll let everybody speak for themselves, but I certainly don't want a building at this site. However, there are townhouses at the site. However, as our attorneys have advised us at length and our planners, the developers of this property would have a constitutional argument through the affordable housing laws and case law that have existed that if we denied or did not come into this agreement, that they would actually build more units than we've negotiated them down to. And that's one of those difficult things that we have to face. And as a council, we've been working on this for hours and hours and hours in closed session and going on quite a bit of time. So I think it's important to note that at this point, while obviously we'd like fewer units, the development as it's proposed is one that would presumably have the least impact of what we could get. So the maximum bedrooms in the townhouses are 2 bedrooms in the non-affordable housing townhouses. These are not rental properties; they're for sale properties as well, which is helpful to us and adds to the township as well. We're not building an apartment building that brings its own issues. We are, having the townhouse type things in there that the developer has proposed continues the aesthetic that exists on Bluefoot Avenue in that place anyway. And I can tell you that this is not the only property that has to be included in our plan in order for the plan not to face a constitutional obligation. So going to Ms. Nitty's point as well, there is another property that there is a follow-up meeting on Monday, correct? Monday?
Yes.
Yeah. To discuss as well between our professionals and the developer of that property, which also has to go in this plan. Since it's not the only property being considered, there are multiple in Verona. And we basically included every property in this plan where a developer indicated a desire to develop, right? So if we include something in the plan where you have not had somebody put forth that they want to actually build a building somewhere, then you get challenged in a couple of years. This plan just doesn't go away at this point, right? So we could see a challenge in 5 years if what we put forward as our plan does not actually pan out, and we could face builders remedy lawsuits at that point. So this is just something that we can dispose of by saying, okay, we'll throw another property in here. If that development doesn't occur, we still have an obligation constitutionally to provide the affordable housing. So the township is between a rock and a hard place. And when you talk through this affordable housing piece, unfortunately, we are at the whim of our court system. You have the Fair Share Housing Center that adjudicates these cases as well. And then you have the developers. And I think our professionals and our manager and the council, through discussions, have come up with probably about the best case scenario that we can get at this point, as far as this development is half of what the developer originally asked for, and certainly at even 10 units less than Mr. Plachek has analyzed that they could build if we didn't cooperate with them. So we're even going beyond that. So I would say that I share everybody's frustration on this, but at the same point, we're constrained by the state statute that, once again, don't agree with, and constitutional interpretations related to the right to affordable housing in the state of New Jersey that have been interpreted in such a manner as to require the township to take these extraordinary measures in order to meet our obligations. So as far as Ms. Nitty, you asked about why we're not fighting the affordable housing. One of our ability to negotiate in many ways has, with Fair Share Housing Center, relies on our being very focused on meeting the perceived obligation. And, we have developed a productive, I think would be a fair word, Mr. O'Sullivan, relationship through these negotiations. Further, the fact that we're not specifically naming ourselves in a lawsuit doesn't mean the lawsuit isn't going to still go forward. So if for some reason, and I doubt this would happen, but the state Supreme Court said, well, all that constitutional history we have with affordable housing is no longer valid, we would still get the benefit of that down the line. But at the same point, there's a pretty ingrained history and law right now in the state of New Jersey. So while I agree that it's not optimum really to build high density housing anywhere, or density housing that is density more than our traditional zoning, we are put in the position where state doesn't care. And we have to do whatever we can to mitigate the effects of our obligations under the state law and that are imposed by the courts. So those are just my thoughts. Any other council members have anything to add? Councilwoman Holland.
Thank you. Thank you both for your comments. I know that it takes a lot of courage to stand up. I do think that there's agreement with some of the statements that the mayor just said, and then I think there's different points of view that may be represented by others on this council. There's absolutely an affordable housing obligation in this state. It is a constitutional mandate. It exists to eliminate economic discrimination, and it's been on the books for approximately 45 years or more. That case law is expansive. There was action taken in an earlier round to designate this particular property, the 885 Bloomfield Avenue property, to be more specific, as an area in need of redevelopment. That was done prior to my time on the council. That was referenced in the recommendation presentation that was given earlier today. There was recent legislation to try and, mitigate some of the more difficult aspects of planning for affordable housing. And we've gone through that process. It gave an opportunity for the municipality to take a strategic approach to it. There was not unanimity on this council about the plan that went forward. So I do think that's important to know. I do think that given any challenging situation, the governing body, decision makers in general, have the opportunity to evaluate the tools at their disposal, and there's discretion used in selecting that tool. So while there's a lot of rhetoric around this is the only answer, this is what we have to do, I think that there have been a series of decisions that have led to this point, and I don't know if there's always alignment on those decisions. But choices have been made, and we are presented with this recommendation tonight. So I do want to thank you for speaking out. I want to encourage you to remain engaged in this process, because this is not the end of the story. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Roman.
Thank you. Also, just a couple of comments. We spend probably more time on affordable housing here as a council than almost any other issue that we face here, other than maybe municipal finance in general. We all live here. Most of us have lived here for a very, very long time. We look at open space and properties that have historically been undeveloped, and we do everything we possibly can to keep Verona having the same look and feel as we are used to. We are challenged by, we are obligated to comply with the state regulations and the constitutional obligation to provide for affordable housing. Within that process, we do everything we possibly can to best represent the interests of Verona residents. We negotiate down, we do extensive analysis, and we do the best that we can to negotiate the overall obligation to try and reduce the total unit count as best as we can as a starting point. We look at individual properties. We try and figure out whether or not development on them is realistically possible. We talk with the proposed developers, and we try and get the unit counts down. We try and get the buildings away from other residential uses. We try and set good redevelopment standards to only have quality projects in the community. We don't have the ability to flat out say no to a lot of things. We recognize that. So what we do is we try and mitigate impact to the best ability that we possibly can. In the case of the 885 project, obviously there was a very substantial reduction in unit count. But this is a developer that proposed to build a building and said they are ready, willing, and able to supply to meet a portion of the township's affordable housing obligation on this site. Therefore, if we were to attempt to exclude them or to move in a different direction, that could be very, very challenging. Obviously, like I said, the unit count is substantially reduced. We are currently at a concept plan that still has quite a bit of review to go through in the community before this arrives at a final constructible project. There are obligations the developer has to meet various ordinances of the township, and this process is not quite beginning, not quite in the middle, but it's in an early stage still. Aside from the actual settlement agreement defines only a few terms. It defines things like unit count. It defines the distribution of bedrooms throughout the units, the type of project, et cetera. There will be a tax exemption agreement. But other than that, a lot of that is left to future discussions. So I would encourage you to please continue to be involved. We have to make a lot of very challenging decisions up here. And it's a lot of time we have to look people in the face who this is going to affect. And I can tell you that we do the very best we can to represent your interests, to minimize the impact to your properties. But we also really, really do not want to put this town in the position of being subject to builders' remedy lawsuits. If we are, then things that we definitively do not want built will get built, and we will lose a lot of voice in the process. That's the situation we don't want to find ourselves in. So it's through this process of negotiation and working with our professionals that we try and make these as palatable as we possibly can. And again, we know that this affects people. We don't like having to say yes to these things. This is the situation that we're in. So I do thank you for coming to see us, and we're doing the best we possibly can. I would encourage you to continue to remain involved as we get to a final point with this project. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. And not to prolong this and repeat some things that others said, but we have on this council spent a lot of time preserving land, and we do our best to do that. This piece of property in general, being right on Bloomfield Avenue, was one that, we take the advice of our experts, and it would have been difficult for us to purchase this property because they are an intervener. So that's one thing we looked at. But I will say, honestly, thank you for your comments tonight, and keep going, because this isn't the end of it. They still have to go before planning, and they still have to abide by our current ordinances and rules and regulations. So if they can get through that, that's a hurdle they got to get through next. And if they can't follow our ordinances, then we take another step after that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, it is time to take action on the resolutions. We'll hear a motion on resolution E1.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second made by the Deputy Mayor. Council discussion. Deputy Mayor.
Things have already been said. This is a difficult one. It's not something we want to do. It's more of the threat that we're worried about. And When we looked at it and negotiated it down, 60 units was what they wanted. 28 is what they're proposing now. So it's a difficult one, but it's tough to say no to this and have 60 units pop up on a property. So that's the conclusion for me.
Deputy Mayor? I'm sorry, Councilman.
And I'll just say, these sort of small to mid-sized sites, I would say, are the very, very challenging ones to deal with. We recognize that they are constrained sites. The developer has a substantial engineering burden to meet to make this realistically developable. We'll see how this goes through the process. It's certainly not 60 units. 28 is still a pretty substantial number. Would I like to see this down at 21? Yes, but this is the negotiated result of we've been pretty tough with our professionals. They've been up here before us a multitude of times. We've said no to a lot of things. We've sent them back for negotiations over and over and over again. This is where we ended up. Like I said, we're early on in the process. We'll see where the engineering comes back, but where we are now, it's about the best I think we can get at this stage on this particular parcel. So.
Yep, I have to agree with that at this point. I would also point out that this comment made by Councilman Holland about the affordable housing plan that came before the council not being unanimous, and I did want to address that. First of all, it was unanimously approved by the planning board after consideration there. It was a surprise to me at that point when there were only 3 votes on the affordable housing plan when it happened, because the 2 no votes in Councilman Holland and Councilman McGrath never provided any other meaningful opportunity or option for the affordable housing plan or suggested any other workable way that our planners could conceive that could actually be different. So I would be careful in the public believing that there was some kind of other better option that was out. And I think it took courage for my council colleagues who did vote in favor of the affordable housing plan and would vote in favor of this evening, because there's really nothing else that was provided that was workable and would have met our constitutional obligations. So the plan that was put forth, everybody was in the room when it was being discussed. There were no decisions made on the side. Our planners have record of everything that happened and everything that they investigated, and there were no other options put forward. So I just want to point out that as I cast my vote today, which I will, it's not to perpetuate a bad affordable housing plan, to perpetuate the best affordable housing plan that we can make, and the only one that helped fulfill our constitutional obligations and prevented us from builder remedy lawsuits, which would have devastated this township. So I think a vote in favor of the affordable housing plan then and a vote in favor of this development tonight is the best thing for the township of Verona, and is the courageous thing for the township of Verona at this point. So, Councilwoman Holland?
I would just like to respond to that. There's clearly a difference of opinion as to what substantive input was stated in executive session, and further disclosure to refute statements like the one you just made would then ultimately waive attorney-client privilege or otherwise reveal confidential information, and that's just not appropriate to do. So I do just want to state on the record that I am not agreeing with Councilman Tamburo's statement that there was no substantive input provided. All of this was done in executive session, and unfortunately, the public doesn't have that awareness. As a result, as a lesson learned going forward, I've made a point of stating these things on the record as I did this evening. Thank you.
I would be, you don't want to mention right now any other ideas that you had, Council?
For the strategic plan?
For any other sites that would have met our constitutional obligation?
I'm not going to go into the potential of waiving attorney-client privilege or revealing confidential information.
Nothing is confidential if it's something that you brought up. If our specialist brought it up, then it's confidential. If our attorneys brought it up, but if it's an idea that you had,
I refuse to engage in this any further. Thank you.
Like that. I'll call for the vote, Madam Clerk.
I'm sorry. Councilwoman Holland,
No.
Councilwoman McGrath,
No.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
It would be dangerous to vote no on this. I will say yes.
I will qualify my vote as well. I think Councilman McGrath and Councilwoman Holland have put this council in a very difficult very difficult position. And if I do not vote yes on this, we will open ourselves up to builder's remedy lawsuits that will devastate this township. So for that reason, and that reason only, and any other explanation provided to you is completely disingenuous. And I hope that the public will see through that. So yes.
Resolution E1 will be numbered 2025-23. It passes 3-2.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move resolution E2?
So moved.
I'll second it. Any council discussion? Councilwoman Holland.
I would just like to note that there was statements made during the recent election about civility. And there were also statements made about unanimity and the need for representing different opinions on this council. And here we have an example of a disagreement among council members, and where that disagreement is not presented in a way that's favorable to yourself, Mr. Mayor, you have chosen to make allegations against your colleagues and calling them disingenuous. And I think that is completely uncivilized and unprofessional to be done on this dais. We can have differing opinions and we can vote accordingly without being insulted. Thank you.
I think having a disagreement is what we just had. I think the public has a right to know that votes are being cast in a manner without the individuals who are voting no ever having provided any substantive different plan to put this township in.
That is your opinion.
I'm sorry, you are not recognized.
That is your opinion.
Mrs. Holland. It's not my opinion. That is the fact, and it's on the record. And when the affordable housing plan is done, the minutes of the executive session will be available to the public, and the public will be able to note what was said and what was not said. So I think I hope the public will look through those records when they become available on any deliberations related to these items, and they will see that there was no substantive feedback put out there. And I'm sorry that it's inconvenient that I've brought up
I didn't say
that this is the case, but I also think that having disagreement is not uncivil, and calling for truth is not uncivil, and trying to assail another council member for stating the truth and for trying to put the council and the town in a better position is for conduct. So on that note, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
No.
Councilwoman McGrath,
No.
Councilman Roman.
With the same qualifiers that were stated by my colleagues in the last round of votes, yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Once again, if I vote no on this, this town is in a very dangerous position. And there's plenty of other properties that can get developed and join in. So I will vote yes on this.
Yes.
Mayor Tambor.
Yes.
Mayor, E2 will be numbered ordinance number 2025-284, passes 3-2.
Very briefly. Thank you to our professionals for all of their work on this project, all the late nights and all the negotiations on behalf of the township. Your efforts are truly appreciated. Thank you. Good night.
I'll second that. Thank you.
All those in favor? All right, it's time for council member reports. Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Okay. First, I would like to thank the girls volleyball team for an undefeated season. Congratulations on their achievement. And for our police and rescue squad. I know that night was a very difficult night for them. They all took off, so we didn't have an opportunity to say this while they were here. But I I think Verona, I would love to see response times of Verona compared to other towns. We're probably in one of the top 5 towns in the state of New Jersey as far as police, fire, and rescue. So I thank them for keeping us safe, especially after the horrific events that went on yesterday and even into early morning today. I thank them for their service and what they do to keep the Verona residents safe. Many thank yous to a lot of people for a successful fair in the square. Everybody, the Public Works and Buildings and Grounds, seeing them during the week. Very, very cold out there all week long, or at least the end of the week setting up. So I thank them for all they did. And I'll forget people, but again, police and rescue for being there, helping us out. And Elise for her hard work, putting it together and organizing it. And for all of the people who had tables there, all the vendors, I thank them for their time. I hope they all did well. And that, for me, has become the official start of the holiday season. So with that, I will say happy holidays to everybody, and I hope they have a safe and happy holiday. That's all.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilman Rowland.
Since my comments are will be repetitive, I will just be very, very brief, and also congratulate the girls volleyball team, to thank the police department and rescue squad for their service, and also to congratulate all involved on the production of Fair and Square, and wish everyone a very happy holiday season. That is all.
Thank you. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you, Mayor. I turned it off. Oh, turned it back on. Don't touch it. Okay. I would just want to thank Councilwoman Cynthia Holland for her comments. I cannot believe what I just witnessed. I wanted to start with actually recognizing the memory of Jim Cunningham. I actually was a little surprised we didn't start with a moment of silence to him. He did pass away recently, and I had a chance to pay my respects to his family. He was really such a key employee in Verona for so many years, the face of recreation and community services. And it's just really a shock that so soon after his retirement that he should pass away. So I extend my deepest condolences to his family. It really puts a lot of things in perspective when someone passes away that soon. My thoughts are also just on world events. I actually wore my gun violence prevention pin today, just with the nature of this very grim weekend. But I do want to focus on, the volunteerism in our community. I thought today's presentation for our first responders was really so moving and so touching. I really thank them for their service to our community, and I think about their safety all the time. And when people from other towns ask me about, what is it like being on the council? I said, one of the most amazing things is our police department and our first responders. I don't need to go to bed worrying about whether or not that is a function that helps or hurts our township. We know that we have the most incredible police department, and it's such an asset to our community. And so appreciative of all the leadership of that department as well. I want to thank the Multicultural Inclusion and Accessibility Advisory Committee for helping with Fair in the Square, specifically the special event that we have for children that have neurodiverse needs. So they get private time with Santa that actually happens before Fair in the Square starts. And it was a great tradition that we started recently, and the families appreciate it so much. And such a great thing that we do. I want to thank the Shade Tree Commission. They've been working really hard. They had a recent meeting. They were discussing with our vendor the streetscapes, and then they were also talking about plans for the Civic Center, and they were part of the Linden pre-construction meeting. I think that's my report. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Holland.
Thank you. I won't repeat some of the statements of my colleagues, but I will just take a moment to speak about affordability as I do this time of year. I just want to remind all residents of the winter termination program. So if you are struggling, it is important to avail yourself of this protection so that you will not be shut off during these incredibly cold times. The way to apply is through your utility and to continue making good faith payments. But again, there is no shut off until March 15th. So please make sure that if you are struggling this holiday season, you avail yourself of that program and make sure that you keep your family warm. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor.
One thing I forgot, that traditionally the last meeting of the year, I always mention all of our staff and all the professionals and everyone that serves us here in Verona, as well as all of our volunteers around the holidays. Our town is basically open 24/7. So everybody, we have people that are working all the time. And I just wanted to recognize that it's a pleasure to work with an outstanding team here in Verona and all of my council colleagues, everyone that we work with. And I just wanted to recognize them and the service that they provide to the Township of Verona and all of its residents, particularly, when other people have the days off, they may not. So just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are moving on to the consent agenda. I'm sorry, hearing adoption or amendment of ordinances. But before that, we'll have a public comment session on anything any member of the public would like to discuss.
Same.
Mr. Shore.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Town Council. Before I get into the pool stuff, just wanted to add a couple things prior to, so I don't have to put it in there. I just want to say tomorrow night that we have a recreational meeting at 7:30 in the community center. We welcome everybody to attend. We have some good things that we're going to discuss in our final meeting of the year. So always welcome that of the public. I want to thank DPW as per usual. I've lived here for 8 years, and every single year and every single snowstorm, they do a great job on the roads, and I definitely appreciate that for the last 8 years. I want to thank the police department and rescue squad for the earlier presentation I saw. I joined the rec committee a couple months before Jim Cunningham left the department. So I served with him always, and I was definitely going to make a tribute tomorrow night at the committee. He was a very passionate man, loved the pool, was very concerned about everybody's safety, baseball, trips, so forth and so on. So I give many condolences to his friends and family, and I've wished a lot of the rec department my condolences because they lost a true friend. I want to thank the multicultural committee as well. My son was one of the kids that was to visit Santa at about 10 a.m., 10:30, and he's done it for the last 3 years, and it's really just been absolutely fantastic. It was my younger son as well, and I have other comments as well later in the evening, but I just wanted to wish everybody happy holidays, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shore. Kevin Ryan.
Sorry. Come on.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Ryan.
Okay, thank you. Still a little bit technologically challenged here. A couple of quick points. Your planner may have gone over this, but I just wanted a clarification as to the status of the former Spectrum 360 project that was in earlier round of our affordable housing obligation. If you could provide an update on that, I'd appreciate it. Also, in light of the horrible events that have happened in Australia, I know we have an event planned tomorrow night in the community center to recognize for the Hanukkah celebration. I'd like to know if there's been any extra efforts taken to make sure that the event is safe and secure. And third thing is just a comment on the affordable housing situation and lawsuits. To the best of my ability or knowledge, at any time these towns have banded together and filed lawsuits against the whole concept and everything else, they are consistently shot down by the state appeals courts or the Supreme Court. And I just want the public to be aware of that. It is a very contentious situation. And I just hope that, that we can get through this with as less acrimony as possible. And I'd like to wish you all a happy holiday season. And also, I would like to extend my condolences to Jim Cunningham's family. I had the pleasure of working with Jim for the 10 years that I was on the council. He was always accessible, always a great gentleman, and it's a real tragedy that he never got a chance to enjoy his retirement. But the outpouring of accolades for him has been wonderful, and I thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Close public comment. Just did want to note one thing, and obviously I share everybody's condolences for the family of Mr. Cunningham. Some of Mr. Cunningham's friends and family reached out as far as a recognition on behalf of the township, and I have been communicating with the township manager about possibilities for some kind of lasting recognition, and there'll be some options put forth to the council as far as that. I just did want to update everybody on that, and I thank all of Jim's friends for reaching out and bringing that point up, and I wholeheartedly agree that we should recognize him, and I thank Mr. O'Sullivan for bouncing back the ideas as we move forward. Moving on to our...
Want to respond to Mr. Ryan's?
Oh, sorry.
Spectrum and police for Hanukkah.
Kevin, on the Spectrum project, there had been a delay because of the permit required. Go ahead, Mr. O'Sullivan.
Sure, Mayor. Thank you. The property owner or the developer for the Spectrum site was delayed while they were pursuing a water extension permit from the NJDEP that did come in from the state. It was either late August or early September. The sale of the property was completed to the actual developer earlier this fall, and the site is submitting or will be submitting shortly final construction permits based on the approved site plans that they have. So construction would not be anticipated probably until the conclusion of the current school year, which would not be until the summer of next year.
And I assume our police department has sufficient plans in place to protect these celebrations.
We've been in touch with the developer, construction department, police department on all of the.
Hanukkah celebrations.
For the Hanukkah, yes, the police department is aware and they are prepared for the event. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2025-23 on second reading. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
Amending Chapter 150 zoning, Article 13, nonconforming uses and structures, Section 13.3, extensions, enlargements, or changes, Paragraph B, Township Code.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move the ordinance, please?
So moved.
Motion is made by the Deputy Mayor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second is made by Councilman Roman. Now is the time for the public hearing on ordinance 2025-23. Same public comment statement applies. However, comments are limited to this ordinance. Hearing none, I close public comment. Any council discussion?
Just quick
Deputy
comment. Our zoning official caught this and brought it to our attention. I think it's a very good catch and shows the exemplary work that she's been doing. So thank her for this.
Thank you very much.
Raised over here.
Sorry, Councilman Holland.
Yes, I appreciate her for flagging it. It is something that I think has been taken advantage of over the years. So I do think it is an appropriate amendment to the ordinance.
I just want to thank the members of the public as well who brought concerns forth. I had the opportunity to meet with members of the public who were affected by this, and that helped to perpetuate helped to put forth the ordinance. So I thank those members of the public for that. Unfortunately, they won't get the benefit of this ordinance, but their work will help other people to get the benefit of it.
Mayor, just because this, people were kind of speaking without describing what we're doing here. This is essentially if you have a existing building that has a setback violation and you go to put an extension on this building, the extension has to be compliant with the current bulk regulations and doesn't make the setback violation worse. So if a building is already too wide and you want to go further back, you can't go back further wide than you're allowed, basically. So it's intended to try and, to the best extent possible, apply the current bulk standards and setbacks to an extension on a building that would otherwise be permitted.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro?
Yes.
Mayor Ordinance 2025-23 passes 5-0, and it will be published according to law.
Thank you. The next ordinance on second reading is number 2025-24. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
An ordinance to amend Chapter A 565-7 of the Code of the Township of Verona for pool fees.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move the ordinance?
So moved.
Motion made by the Deputy Mayor. Is there a second?
Second it.
Second is by Councilman Roman. Now it's time for the public hearing on ordinance 2025-24. Same public comment statement applies. Mr. Shore.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor and Town Council. This has been a long process to get here to where we are, probably 3 years worth. Overall, the fees and policies here that are going to be voted on, I agree with. I don't agree with all the process that happened. I don't agree with all the transparency. Maybe there could have been more transparency on a budget. That would have been good. However, I have a couple questions for administration so that the public would feel more comfortable. Number one is, will the administration make an effort to obtain $50,000 in sponsorship this summer? Will the administration make an effort to market and push the current membership that there was an increase of 2% to increase that to at least 5%? Can the administration increase the miscellaneous revenue, which currently under its sort of budget, instead of going down in revenue, go up by 45%? Can administration do everything possible to obtain as much sponsorship to cover the firefighters and rescue squad so it doesn't come out of town funds? And finally, can the administration fulfill 100 non-residential memberships so that this way there'd be an additional 100,000 of revenue? If all 5 to 6 steps are taken care of, and they've done not to the fullest, doesn't have to be 100%, even 50, 55%, then the pool will not be in the range of losing 200,000 a year, which it has for the last 3 years, that maybe it'll lose 50,000, 25,000, moving in the right direction. Can the administration make that commitment to the public, to the council, so that the gap is finally closed and we're moving towards potential savings going forward so that the pool has money to repair itself over the next 5, 10, 15 years? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Shore. Any other comments? You're not a closed public comment. Mr. O'Sullivan, did you want to answer any of those comments?
Sure, Mayor. Thank you. I can say that the Township Administration, both myself, the Deputy Manager, our new Director of Community Services, our Public Information Officer, we've been working collectively with our CFO as well on on all the items that have been addressed. A lot of the growth in marketing, in sponsorship revenues, or growth in marketing the pool numbers and bringing in larger revenues to the pool, or growing the miscellaneous revenue that's anticipated in the future budget. We are largely bound by what the state allows us to anticipate for future revenues. So as we do prepare our future budgets for 2026, we are capped at being able to anticipate the revenue that we received in the prior year. That said, it doesn't mean that we are not pursuing the revenues through sponsorships, through miscellaneous, additional miscellaneous revenues. We do have communications that have begun to be prepared by our public information officer to try to begin the both the sponsorship revenues, the marketing to the existing residents, to newer residents that have moved in. And we have begun and we have drafted a pool marketing subcommittee policy, which we will be looking to implement in the new year as well, to bring in additional community input as well. I know the director of our community services is also here. She's been very involved in this process since she's taken the position. I know she has sample sponsorship letters and general letters and a roadmap prepared for implementing as soon as we have a number of these fees adopted this evening. We are, just as recently as this afternoon, we've met with Community Pass on making sure that the payment plan can be implemented smoothly, effectively at the beginning of January. And we are continuing to endeavor on each of those initiatives that were raised by Mr. Shore.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
No.
Councilwoman McGrath,
No.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor Ordinance 2025-24 passes 3-2 and will be published according to law.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next ordinance on second reading is number 2025-25. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
Amending the Code of the Township of Verona, Chapter A 565 Fees, A 565-7 Verona Community Pool Membership and Other Fees, Section B Membership Types, to establish a non-resident membership category and to revise other categories.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move the ordinance, please?
So moved.
The motion is made by Councilman Roman. I will second the motion. Now it's time for public hearing on ordinance 2025-25. Same public comment statement applies. Mr. Shore.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Town Council. So the committee and myself have worked very hard on a lot of these things for the last couple of years. If there are going to be no votes here tonight, I'd please ask you to explain why there are no votes, because it's, a little tough when you work hard, you try to do the right thing for the town, and we could have disagreements, that's fine. But I think that the town and the public deserve to know why there's a no, and that's fine. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Shore. I don't have a response to that because obviously it wasn't directed at me, but would either council member who the comment was directed to like to respond?
Sure. I have stated extensively on the record. I've discussed at various rec committee meetings as well as at these public meetings that I do not necessarily agree with these rate increases. And so I am not voting in favor of them this evening. Rather than burden the record, I wasn't intending on putting that statement in every single one of the ordinances, but I'm happy to do so now. But it is not news, and it should not be news to the public that I am not supportive of these. I did not vote for their introduction either.
Thank you. Councilwoman McGrath.
Yes. I really have to stop touching this. Sorry.
Should be working now.
I'm getting used to it. I apologize. I was going to vote yes up until tonight, but I know that the public had a lot of feedback on all different aspects of the pool. And one of the things we heard very consistently is that the guest rate fees are too high. And honestly, I just made a decision at the dais that to raise it by $1, I think was not necessary. I know the administration took the position that if things didn't have a more significant increase, everything was going up 2%. And I just think we also have to be listening to the residents and putting our common sense hat on. So that is why I didn't vote for that particular thing. But I do plan to support, letting in out-of-town memberships. But I do think we should have left the guest pass fee alone. I don't think residents are going to appreciate this after all the extensive feedback that they gave in multiple surveys. Thank you.
I'll just briefly address why I voted in favor. I think that this was the best outcome as far as this ordinance goes. And the point that I made in the last council meeting related to the fees is that we have 4 to 5+% increase in our wages this year. And we have to offset that with an increase in our fees. And that's just, unfortunately, the cost of doing business. But I do want to thank all our professionals and the Recreation Committee and Mr. Shore especially for really diving into this. And I think that while on the fees and on the revenue anticipated from allowing it out-of-town members, I'm optimistic that it'll work out well with the out-of-town members. But as I've said on the record before, I think we've made some assumptions, and I'm nervous about those assumptions. And will we get the 100 families that we are looking for? So I do ask the administration to keep us updated on that. And I know that the administration is working on marketing, but we need to be doing that sooner rather than later. And we really need to go out to people. I think the residents who I spoke to at length, many residents about the pool, provided some really great feedback on this as far as opening beyond our borders, opening to people sponsored by or recommended by current residents who are not in contiguous municipalities. I think that should hopefully be great and really provide an optimal experience as well. So this is one of those situations where I think it would have been nice to have the pool for Verona residents only. But at the same point, we have to plug that gap that has built over all these years and got worse, of course, during COVID. And I think this is a fair way of doing it. And I think all of the residents who provided feedback and helped us to make really good recommendations for policy. And I thank our township administration and our director of community services, and Pam especially, for jumping right into this. You just came in at the right time, Pam. So would you like to come up on the? Go ahead.
Thank you. So I just wanted to comment and thank Mr. O'Sullivan and Mr. Kraus for all their support since I joined. And on October 6th, when I had to come here after being in the role for 2 weeks to present a study, basically that NewGen had presented a while back, to come back here in October and basically present almost the same exact information, to then have NewGen come back to us to do the same exact thing twice, and we paid them. I'm just here to say that we are trying to do a job for the town, to do what is best for the town, to make sure that our Verona pool moves forward, not backwards. So I really urge you to just look at the fact that we just want to move forward, and we have been working very, very hard to get this going. And I appreciate all of you. And I mean, meeting after meeting, day after day, phone calls, reports, emails. I really am trying. And my number one goal ever in my jobs here in Verona is to do what's best for the community and for the residents. So I just urge you all. I mean, the rates are going up, but NewGen had said that a while back. And here we are talking about the rates months and months later. So just please, I just urge you to just do what's right for the Verona pool. And I will work and do everything I can to Mr. Shore, to your point. I know you've been on me about sponsorships and all that. And once we get the go, I will go. So thank you. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Prisco. Mr. Roman.
Also just, comment on my yes vote. These fees are, as much as I hate raising any fee. To me, it's just the same thing as raising taxes. We do it, it's begrudgingly and when it's supported by data. This is a little bit more palatable to me for these fees because some of them are, optional services beyond the base services of the pool. I recognize the financial difficulties of the pool. Again, this is, we talked about affordable housing earlier. It's something that we spend a lot of time on. We spent a lot of time this year talking about the finances of the pool. It's a very complicated utility to make work, and our constraints in how we operate it from a fiscal management perspective, coupled with how tight everybody's personal budgets are right now. Let's not let that go unrecognized. This is very difficult. We also have a very long cycle here of seeing how our changes bear out in reality. We set fees for the year and we have to go into the year charging these fees. So, there is some uncertainty to this, and we are, doing the best that we possibly can, taking the advice that we have to try and make the pool work. I do trust in our administration and our new director of community services to go out and try and get all the non-membership revenue they possibly can for the pool, and also to drive membership as hard as we can. I think we've made that point up here sort of ad infinitum that just sitting around and waiting for people to come to us is not a great strategy. So I don't need to ask for a promise. I simply trust that it's going to be done this time around, and we'll see how well it works. It's going to be something new for us, and we will evaluate at the end of the year and see how we did. But appreciate all the work of everyone involved on this one, and that's why I was willing to support this ordinance, because it's the appropriate thing to do to try and make the pool something we can operate.
Councilwoman Holland.
Thank you. And Pam, I just want to follow up on your comments, just to make it clear, and I had said this earlier this evening, that a failure to vote in favor of something doesn't necessarily have to be viewed in like somehow like a personal indictment of an individual. I want to say how much I have appreciated the work that you have put in since taking the role. It's clearly a very challenging time to step into a new role, and you're working on that and you're taking the opportunities that are presented to you. So I just really want to say that I respect that. I know it's a challenging thing to do. I know it's also hard to see your hard work also get, a no vote on it, but it's not a personal indictment. Just similarly, it's not a personal indictment of anybody on the rec committee or the subcommittees. Not everything in these ordinances were recommended by the rec committee. Yeah. So there are aspects of, my concerns about these ordinances that actually stemmed from those rec committee meetings. So it is with an intention of being responsive to my constituency that I would vote no on any of these things, and why I didn't vote to introduce them either. In fact, Mr. Shore, you had stood up and objected to some of these at the last meeting. So I do just think it's important to understand that I can vote no for something, but still have tremendous respect for the individuals that are recommending it. And I do have tremendous respect for both of you and the whole rec committee behind you, as well as this administration. So thank you.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland?
No.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamburro?
Yes.
Mayor, ordinance 2025-25 passes 4-1, and it will be published according to law.
Thank you. The next ordinance on the agenda is ordinance number 2025-26 on second reading. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
An ordinance to amend Chapter A 565-7, the Code of the Township of Verona, pool membership fees.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move the ordinance, please? I'll move it. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have the public hearing on ordinance 2025-26. Same public comment statement applies. Seeing no public comment, I close public comment. I will make one item of discussion. I think that these fees are reasonable. I just want the public to remember that The original New Gen report was recommended that we had to, in order to meet our expenses, we were looking at another double-digit increase this year. The increase on the full memberships is 2% across the board, which is much less, obviously, than 10 or more than that percent. I can't remember the exact number. So what part of the strategy here is to keep our pool fees down and then invite in the non-residents in order to make up for some of that revenue. It is also important to note that in comparison to other towns, our fees for having a better facility are still less. And that's something that we also should not lose sight of. So I would put it out there. And I'm with Councilman Roman. I've, over the last 4.5 years, stated my vocal opposition to raising a lot of fees. But I think in this circumstance, you have to raise these fees to keep this program alive. It is a self-liquidating utility, and we need to keep it that way so that the tax burden does not fall on the non-users. So the users of the facility need to pay for the facility, and it has value for the rest of the town. And still, with projections at this point, the town is still, putting some of our salaries and stuff have not been proportionally dispersed over the pool, because at this point we haven't projected the revenue to do that. So we still haven't really met that burden that I would like us to meet, but that would require the fees going higher. So at this point, and I look forward to an ongoing review of the budget for this as part of our regular budget cycle, but throughout the summer, it's been my request from Mr. O'Sullivan on the phone that we'll see budget versus actuals on the pool so we can try to address this sooner rather than later as we go forward. Councilman Roman.
So at the last meeting, I kind of stated I have some reservations about this. Yes, I know that by us putting together a pool budget, getting the report from New Gen Strategies, it says we should do this. And this is intended to be sort of just an honest discussion item amongst everybody up here. I'm just open-minded and want to hear opinions. Are we adequately considering basically demand response to our fee setting here? In other words, just because we raise the fees by 2%, does it mean that we're going to make 2% more revenue, or is there a risk of loss of memberships here, especially because for families we're crossing a $700 threshold for pool fees? This is not without risk. Yes, like I said, yes, from a budgeting standpoint, we should do this. From pricing a service that, like it or not, is optional to whether people buy it or not, are we doing the right thing or are we not? And what happens if we're wrong? So that's all.
Thank you. Councilwoman Holland.
Thank you. I will say that I have significant reservations about some of the fees that are proposed in this ordinance, including the non-resident fee. I will say that where residents indicated a willingness to have the non-resident fee as it ties to the prior ordinance, there was discussion with several residents where they wanted, for example, their grown children and other neighboring communities to come. I do worry that this fee structure kind of didn't understand the assignment, and that if I'm a grandparent and my grown children and my grandchildren live in West Orange and I want them to have this fee, if I want them to have, the out of town membership to help build back the membership, that the $1,000 membership for out of town residents isn't going to be workable. These are residents that also objected to the guest pass fees. So I do have concerns that we aren't going to be building back the membership. But I do recognize the New Gen strategy and the difficulty of this decision making. And I reiterate the statements that I had made during prior public hearings on the prior ordinances, as well as the prior meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. I do have concerns. I have concerns about really the significant headwinds in the economy. This is, though, an affordable way for families to spend their summer. But if you don't have any income coming in, we may have a loss of membership, whether we raise these fees or not, because of the economy. And I am concerned about job losses that people are already facing. The one thing we're trying to accomplish, which no one has mentioned tonight, is that we're passing these in December, which is probably one of the earliest times that we've ever passed these fees, because one of the things residents ask for is the ability to pay overtime. So by not passing these fees tonight, we would be jeopardizing one of the things that we wanted to do to actually build back membership. Because residents, even in a more solid economy, was saying they needed to pay overtime. And we actually see with the rise of buy now, pay later services, that a lot of people are doing that. Some of them are doing it for groceries. So this is really, challenging. I will say to the administration, and again, I share Councilwoman Holland, everything that she said about her appreciation for the extensive work that the administration put in, that the recreation staff put in, that the Recreation Advisory Committee put in. But if this isn't successful, we do need to look at whether or not our current rate structure is working for us. Meaning, do we take more of a rate structure like that the ski slopes have, where you're saying you're buying a pass per adult and you're buying a pass per child? This is, we have these family, these caregiver, these couples. One thing that I objected to with the new gem analysis is that we didn't look at a rebalancing based on family size and our actual data and swipes. So there are different ways, that we can approach this. This is a continuation of the same. I will vote in support. I do think that we need to pilot, I wish we used this word more, the 100 out-of-town family memberships. I do hope we reach that number. But we may not reach that number for a host of reasons, things that are out of our control, like the economy. But I will, vote in favor of this tonight. I look forward to the marketing. I'm sure some people will sign up very early so that they can take advantage of that pay over time. And, I do have faith in our administration, our volunteers, and this is our best asset. I will make one last comment to our administration. I've gotten a lot of feedback that people want to see all levels of management of our township at the pool. And people who work at the pool and pool members notice when senior people in our township are not there. So I think it's a really good, and actually this all came up too in the context of Jim Cunningham, who was at the pool a lot. And we know he did. And he put safety really at the top, which I know you all do. But I just want to reiterate that comment since we're pontificating. So, it's important to have a visual presence at the pool and throughout the season. And I think the residents and the staff, they really do notice. So I please take that under consideration. Thank you.
I'll close out. I won't close out. But it's interesting that you bring up that point. I spoke to Ms. Prisco a couple of months ago, and Ms. Prisco was talking about moving her desk down there for a couple of days in the summer. So I know Ms. Prisco will be down at the pool, and I look forward to that. And I've talked to the town manager about that, and I've offered my support for that because I think it's important. So I thank Mrs. Prisco for taking the initiative to go down and do that. And I know that the folks in the town will be happy to see her there. To Councilman Roman's point, as a teacher of economics, I think that I'm positioned to understand the price elasticity of demand argument. We're talking about raising a family membership by less than $14, right? So when I spoke to a lot of residents about the pool after putting out a request for comment, I think the administration had originally proposed a 3% increase, and then we kind of knocked it down to 2%. In looking at this, but people were willing, the ones that I spoke to pay a reasonable increase in membership to meet expenses. People understand that, at least the people I spoke to understood that if we kept having 0% increases, then we would be in the same position again. That would require another draconian increase in the future. And I think that's what we have to do. And it's really important to note that even with the 2% increase, we are still not meeting the increased salary piece of that. So we have to rely on the out-of-town members in order to hopefully make that up. But I think you're talking about our kind of maximum increase being less than $14. And that, I look forward to seeing the numbers. And there's only way we really know, unfortunately, is that we don't have good data on what this looks like, because this is a one, it's a one entity situation with a very discrete kind of set of clients. So don't really have good comparative data on this, but I think that increases going up and for service, I think people understand that. I think the difficulty is when we saw such a large increase last year, that's what really turned people off. It was like, hold on a second. So I hope that, and honestly, I really hope that $14 does not price out any of our families. And if it does, I'm definitely sorry for that. And I hope that, that situation will change for them.
Maybe a hand from the deputy mayor.
Deputy Mayor?
Ask the administration after.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
You just touched on exactly what I was going to say. That's why I moved the ordinance last meeting and seconded this meeting. I just think a small increase annually is a lot better than a large increase 3 years from now. And I think that would turn more people off than a gradual increase year by year.
I may just
Sorry.
Sure, go ahead, Councilman.
If I can just ask the administration just for thoughts on risk here. Obviously, again, just anytime that you cross like $100 boundary on things, it's a little psychological barrier for some folks. Just wondering if this has come up in any of your discussions about, if we could potentially lose gross revenue by raising rates. What our thoughts are if we get into, membership purchases and we see a slowdown in membership purchases. Just if you kind of evaluated from that aspect.
So we did discuss that as part of the reassessment with New Gen. We the target in prior years was to try to grow the memberships through the pool, based upon the response last year from the membership reduction as a result of the larger increases. We had a lengthier discussion about that as part of that reassessment earlier this year, and we spoke about the idea that we certainly couldn't we couldn't assume any type of growth. We wanted to make sure that we had at the most projected flat memberships. There is some bit of risk, but again, to some of the points, the 2% increase for the highest priced membership is, which is a family membership, it's an increase of $14 based upon value that the pool provides compared to value of a lot of other summer programs or events or types of day trips that families might go on. The $14 increase seemed less risky than what some of the other the other projections were in prior financial modeling.
Okay. And then just my final closing comment. I'm just going to quote Mr. Shore that volume. I think that we all realize this, that we desperately need to get people to purchase pool memberships that traditionally have not in the past. And we need non-membership revenue, and plus the out-of-town memberships. I mean, that's what's really going to financially stabilize the pool better than a 2% rate increase generally. We just can't anticipate it. So I really am looking forward to, I will say, a very strong effort from all involved on attempting to drive membership and non-membership revenue this year. And let's just see what happens. And, all we can do is talk about an effort. So based on those responses, yes, I will support the 2% increases, and thank you to all for their work on all this.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland?
No.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamburo?
Yes.
Mayor, ordinance 2025-26 passes 4-1, and it will be published according to law.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2025-27. on second reading. Would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
Fixing the salaries and compensation of the seasonal employees of the Verona Community Pool.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move this ordinance, please?
So moved.
Motion is
Second.
made by Councilman Roman. The second is made by Councilwoman McGrath. Now is the time for the public hearing on this ordinance. Same public comment statement applies. Hearing none, I close public hearing. Any council comment? Councilwoman Holland.
I view this aspect of the pool ordinances as distinct from the earlier ordinances that were put forward. This is effectively a salary ordinance, and much of it is driven by minimum wage increases and other obligations of the township. So, but with regard to the other aspects of the pool fee rate structure and associated ordinances, I maintain those objections.
Thank you. I will be voting in favor of this, and also because I voted in favor of all the ordinances that fund these increases. Deputy Mayor?
This is a 6-7% increase across the board, is it?
No.
The increase is on minimum wage is roughly 4.9 or 5%. Returning, so that's the base increase, and then returning employees receive a small increase of 25 cents per year, $1 in year 4. So the increase, if everyone returns, is larger than just minimum wage, but not every employee returns.
Thank you.
And there is an incentive to provide that because it's actually very difficult to find lifeguards
Correct.
who are willing to put in the hours.
So I just want to add, like, we're looking at a percentage of salary increase of 5%. And my only question to my fellow council members is, how do you pay for that if we don't say yes to other ordinances?
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland?
No.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro?
Yes.
Mayor Ordinance 2025-27 passes 4-1, and it will be published according to law.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is going to be in the Deputy Mayor's hands, as I will be relinquishing the chair to the Deputy Mayor for this one.
Oh, it's a pool ordinance.
Sorry. Give me a second, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Were you okay?
Yeah, I just mixed everything up. It's okay.
Ordinance 8-6. Madam Clerk, can you please read the title?
Thank you. Accused. Amending the Code of the Township of Verona, Chapter A 565 Fees, A 565 7.1, Verona Community Pool, exemption from fees, to require the Township's Chief Financial Officer to annually transfer the value of pool memberships that are exempt from fees under this section from the general fund to the pool utility.
Would anyone like to move this ordinance?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Roman.
Second.
I have a second by Councilwoman Holland. At this time, we could ask for public comment on this ordinance. Hearing none. Council comments. Councilwoman McGrath. Don't touch it.
I'm not going to touch it. Deputy Mayor, I need to recuse myself from this vote as well.
Okay. Any other comments?
I'll just state the reason for my recusal is that while I do not take this benefit, I am a member of the Verona Rescue Squad for a long time, and thus will be recusing myself.
And I will state that that I have a family member who's a member of the rescue squad, but I also do not take this benefit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Holland.
I will say that the free memberships to the Verona Fire and Rescue Squad is a tremendous benefit to those volunteers who do such amazing work for our community. In fact, some were even recognized earlier this evening. One of the items that the rec committee identified as it started digging into the pool financial situation was the cross subsidy issue that comes from the township council authorizing free memberships without providing any kind of funding into the pool utility to cover those free memberships. As a result, all of the other paying members, so for example, drawing on our current fee structure, the family members, the family memberships that are paying the $710, some of that money was going toward these free memberships. This ordinance creates a mechanism where the township can use the township's funds to provide funding into the pool utility to match those free memberships. So it's essentially the township is now paying for the policy determination it had made many years ago. And I think that this is the correct mechanism to make that right. And so we get to keep the free memberships for the fire and rescue squad while also helping to keep the pool solvent. And where this is distinct from other pool ordinances, this is its own standalone ordinance on this discrete issue. And this is one that the rec committee has consistently spoken about, and I have spoken about for several years as well. I think it's the right outcome.
I will add to this. Many years ago, was when this was proposed, I was I think I moved the ordinance years ago. I think it's very essential to have our fire and rescue personnel up there. I think it's in time of need. It's a split-second reaction from people that are on site. I do remember years ago, that's kind of why we did it, to entice more people to go to the pool. I do think this is a fair compromise. The one thing here, I don't think we're righting any wrong. I just think it's a good compromise to settle this back and forth. I really don't think if we have 15 memberships that we give out, that it's taking away that much from the pool. It's not like we're losing that amount of money. It's just a couple more people at the pool all at once. So I don't think it's something that took away from the pool. Plus, we know they give back as far as what they give as far as lessons and things to the pool. And that's what we balanced out here. So I think this is a good compromise. And I look forward to, is this something that needs 4 votes?
No.
Didn't
No, it
need
does
4
not.
votes to introduce it.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, just does that before.
Well, I'm just thinking in my head that it's money that the town spent.
Right, but it's not an obligation of debt.
Okay.
No.
All right. Okay. Good. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Yes.
Mayor, ordinance 2025-26 passes 3-0 with 2 abstentions or recusals. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, was that the ordinance number? Could you state it again? I think
2025-20. Oh, did I say? I'm sorry, 2025-28.
28. Thank you.
I apologize. That's
Mr. Mayor, you have the floor back.
Thank you. The mayor resumes the chair. And at this point, Madam Clerk, the next item on the agenda is ordinance 2025-29, a second reading. Would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
amending Chapter 501 of the Township Code, Flood Control Advisory Board.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will move this ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
Second is made by Councilwoman Holland. I will open for public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing none, close public hearing. Any council comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor ordinance 2025-29 passes 5-0, and it will be published according to law.
Before we move the consent agenda, is there any item anybody wishes to be removed from the consent agenda? Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes. I would like to remove resolution 11.
L11?
L11. I do have a significant question on L5 as well that I would like answered before.
Okay, well, we can do that in discussion, but
well, if I may decide then to move it out.
Okay, then we have to
Okay, let's move
just
it
take
out.
it out
consent
at
then,
this
so
point.
we'll add L5 as well. Thank you.
L5, L11?
And I would like to remove K1.
K1.
All right, and is it recusal, or do you want to vote on those?
She
minutes?
can't.
I need
can't
to
vote on it.
abstain from that vote.
All right. At this time, I will entertain a motion on K2, L1 through 4, 6 through 10, and 12 through 13.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second is made by the Deputy Mayor. I will open for public comment on any consent agenda item, including the ones not just moved. Same public comment statement applies, except that we are just on consent agenda items. Seeing no public comment, I close public comment. Any council discussion on the moved resolutions?
So we're limiting to the moved. Okay.
Just to the moved resolutions. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
1 second. Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
All right. Mayor, L1 through L4 will be numbered 285 through 288. 6 through 10 will be 289 through 293. And 12 and 13 will be 294 and 295.
Thank you. This time I'll hear a motion on K1.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? Hearing none. Yeah, go ahead.
I just was not present for this meeting, so I intend to abstain.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman McGrath.
Yes.
Well,
Sorry. Councilwoman Holland,
abstain.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
So the November 10th minutes will pass a vote to 4-0 with 1 abstention.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'll hear a motion on L5.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second is made by Deputy Mayor McAvoy. Council discussion. The chair recognizes Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. Mr. O'Sullivan, can you just, I wanted to tie this, so it seems like the library is having issues and they needed a new boiler. But I also know that we did a whole energy analysis and it was recommending that we move towards more energy efficient models. So I wanted to know, did anyone, instead of just like, oh, we're replacing this, or did anyone stop to?
I have an idea.
I guess it just,
Hey, it turned green.
I don't know how to troubleshoot
That's
it.
why I was wondering.
It's fascinating.
Okay. Okay. So can we just provide, did anyone stop to think about replacing this with an energy efficient model?
Like the replacement of this is for the boiler that failed and caused a fire response. There was smoke in the boiler room over, I believe it was over Thanksgiving weekend. This is an emergency repair or emergency replacement of the boiler that has failed. I don't know if an energy efficient model.
It was mine.
What did you just
I turned
I
off.
just turned off mine. Mine was.
You broke your microphone.
I did. Thanks. Thank you.
I don't know if if an energy efficient model was analyzed in this particular instance.
Okay. Okay, that was my question. I mean, I do want us to, I know that you are currently, we have not entered into execution phase of that plan,
Right.
the energy efficiency plan, which has credits and all this stuff. But at the same time, you know, I wasn't sure, and I apologize for not asking this question before the meeting, but if we had an opportunity to move to something more efficiently, recognizing though it is an emergency situation.
This particular replacement does not address a full analysis of an energy efficient model. However, the general energy efficiency efforts are still underway, and we did recently sit with BPU about putting together an ESIP RFQ in the coming weeks. It's not final and it's not ready for advertising, but we are still moving forward with that effort as well.
Okay, thank you.
I would imagine this boiler will probably be more energy efficient than the last one.
Yeah. Can I ask how old did we replace it when we redid the renovations on the library?
I don't know.
Okay.
Councilman Roman?
And part of the problem is this is a steam, this is a steam boiler, so probably to do anything more energy efficient, we'd have to replace the radiators or otherwise go to something different. I don't know if we could run a standard hydronic boiler with all the existing terminal units. That might not have been workable in an emergency.
Yeah.
I don't recall us having replaced the boiler during the library reno. We replaced the air conditioning units. But yeah, I looked at the nerd. I filled out the spec sheet on this unit when I saw my packet. Yeah, it's a more energy efficient modern boiler. Is it going to be best in class? Is it a heat pump system? Is it no? But if this was to get the library's heat back online, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
That is the case. It's to get the heat back in service fully in the library.
ASAP.
Without having to rent. I mean, if we had to go rent emergency heat, it probably would have been more than the cost of this entire replacement.
Very likely, yes.
Yeah.
Right. This is a reimbursement from the library, and it's also an insurance claim that we are hoping to have some reimbursement from the JIF on as well. So it's not a full expenditure from the township.
Great.
Cool. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro?
Yes.
Mayor, resolution L5 will be numbered 2025-296.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move L11?
So moved.
Motion is made by the Deputy Mayor. Is there a second?
Second it.
Second is by Councilman Roman. Any council discussion on L11? Okay. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Holland?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Abstain.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro?
Yes.
L11 will be numbered 2025-297, and it passes 4-1, one abstention.
Okay. Well, thank you. We don't have any licenses or permits. We don't have any addenda. We will be going into executive session after public comment to discuss the appointments that are listed on this agenda. And this time I'll open for if there's any other items of new or unfinished business. Okay, hearing none. I'll go into, I'll open for public comment on any item anybody wishes to discuss. Seeing no public comment, I close public comment. We have previously made a past resolution to go into executive session. We'll be doing so, and official action may be taken following the executive session. Okay. Thus ends the public meeting.
There's a hand up.
Well, I closed public comment, but does anybody object to allowing Mr. Ryan to comment? Any objection? All right, I will reopen public comment. Mr. Ryan?
You have to give us senior citizens a little more time to click on the button, but that's okay. I just had clarification. Did you say you would be coming out of executive session to vote on the committee appointments?
Kevin?
Now he disappeared.
Did you say you would be coming out of executive session to vote on the committee?
Not muted. Not the ability to talk.
Did you hear me? Hello?
Kevin, if you want to, if we can bounce them out and then back in, might help.
Disable talking.
Yeah, and then.
And now I'm going to allow him to talk again.
Yeah,
And ask him to unmute. There we go.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Mr. Ryan?
Yes. Did you say you would be coming out of executive session to vote on the appointments?
I think people can hear him perhaps on the Zoom.
Is our speaker off? It had been working before.
Not 30 years. That'll be funny.
What number are you on there? Does it say? No. I have everybody unmuted. Recording in progress.
Yes, hi, can you hear me now?
This is super weird.
Is he on twice?
Can you, it seems like.
Yes, Kevin, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're just going to have to talk through Corey's phone because why not?
Okay. A very simple question. I asked if you were going to come out of executive session to vote on the committee appointment.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Shore. All right. Well, since we reopened, we have another one. Jeremy K.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hi, good evening. Jeremy Katz of Verona. So following up on Kevin's question in regards to making decisions on boards and appointments, I did not receive a Rice notice, and when I requested one today, I was told that the debates would be made in public, and therefore I did not need a Rice notice.
Is that the conclusion of your comment?
It is, and if you are going to have it behind, then I would like to be a Rice notice and have my candidacy discussed in public. Thank you.
Thank you. This time I close public comment. Rice notices are not required because they're not staff members. So that's what we had discussed previously, but I'll have to poll the council in executive session as to whether we want to do it.
That I believe that you're correct there, Mayor, but I don't know that there is a reason to have it in closed session, one of the exceptions. Like if you're not going to treat the members as employees, which I agree with you, they're not, then it should take place in open. It's not one of the exceptions to going to closed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, this is how we've been doing it for a while. This was
previously out of what I'll say a conservative view. The members were riced, and the council decided to treat them as employees. But you can't not recognize and have them the rice protection, but then have the discussion in closed. So if you want to go the conservative route, I would agree with the caller that if you want to go that way and take that stance and you treat them like employees, then they should be riced if you're going to go into closed and you'd have a closed session discussion. Otherwise, if they're not employees, they're not getting riced, but it's also there's no reason to go into public or into private.
okay. Well, then I guess we're discussing open session at this point. Councilman McGrath.
what I would suggest, since we were not prepared, I'm just going to speak loudly. Hopefully someone else's mic will pick it up. Thank you. Since we were prepared to go into close, this is what I would suggest. We've done this by many methods over the time. I'm incredibly frustrated. We keep flip-flopping on this in the 6 years I've been on the council, 7 years. But I think in a more appropriate way of doing this is, I know we would love to have a conversation, but we can kind of rank order our choices between now and the next meeting by a certain date, send them to the municipal clerk. She can kind of add them up with a point system. And then at the next meeting, she can present the points, and then we could just say, okay, these are the candidates, the top. I think in one committee where we have to vote on 3, but we have like 7 people. And I'm really hesitant to have a detailed conversation about resident volunteers in public. But I think if we all review their resumes, we give them a call. Some of us already did that. And then we just rank choice them, send them to her. She puts them in a spreadsheet. She adds up the points. And then we say, these are the people we're selecting. Because there's a few of these where we have a lot of applicants and a lot of openings. And I just think we were not prepared to, and again, I'm just looking at the sensitivity of our volunteers. We've got some great people in there, but not everyone's going to get a spot. And I would like to do it in the most sensitive way possible. And I think between now and January 5th, no one meaningfully was going to be added to a committee.
Well, I think the problem is that we have committee meetings that are starting up very quickly after the 5th, but we're not giving people adequate time to come. And for some of the the policymaking bodies and stuff like that, that's a problem if you don't have enough personnel to operate the meeting. So I think that's why we had it on to have the discussion today. And so that's my concern with moving forward in that direction. I also, I don't necessarily agree with the ranked choice voting piece either, because you are depriving the council of the opportunity to have a discussion on the merits of applicants, as is our duty as public officials in order to do that. So, if somebody has a legitimate concern about somebody that is being put up, especially related to past performance on a committee or feedback from a committee chair, that's not something that is going to be really put forth in a ranked choice voting system either. So I do have a concern about that. So I'm not necessarily in favor of going in that direction either. But this would be a pretty substantial change to how in my time on the council, we have not, as far as I can remember, done ranked choice selection that preceded me, for sure. So yeah, I'm not completely sold on that concept. But we do have a lot of things, and we need to give people time to be able to attend meetings and so on. And there are, just some other things as far as like we have on some of these committees, we have like full position voting member openings, and doing something as simple as like moving an existing member up is not really conducive to a ranked choice voting model either. So I think that's that's a concern that I have as well. So I would welcome other suggestions from other council members.
My only thought about that is if we did a ranked choice and then maybe gone into close at the next meeting to discuss positions within the board, it's kind of a combination of both. Because I know there's some boards that we have obviously alternates, and like Shade Tree Commission, we have a public member and an alternate too.
Right. And that's the situation on a couple of these other ones where in my spreadsheet, we have a couple to move people up to, and different things have different terms, different positions. So Councilman Roman, what are your thoughts?
I'm also not comfortable with discussing volunteers in public. I just, again, it's, like we said, there's more people interested in these than we have spots for, and we appreciate all of them, and the decisions are challenging. We have done ranking systems in the past. I agree with the deputy mayor that a reasonable compromise might be a ranking system to determine who ends up with seats on a board, and then a discussion might be acceptable as to what order we put them in. Again, if we have to make someone an alternate or a different term or something like that. But I just simply am not comfortable, discussing the merits of these things in a public meeting. Doesn't seem like the right thing to do.
Well, the other opportunity is we could rice everybody and discuss in closed session at the next meeting as well.
Unless they make a request to be discussed in public, which we have to honor if that's the case, if we treat them as an employee and rice them.
And we have riced before.
We have.
Yeah.
Yes, we've had, again, and I agree that the process on this has been back and forth and back and forth. It's nice that we get significant interest that we actually have to choose between people for these boards where, there were times where we have struggled to fill positions, but sensitivity is, these are volunteers. They are, even though they are stepping forward to be in a public position, us having a conversation about why we do or don't want them on a board is not a great thing. And if we're saying we can't do it in private, necessarily if one person wants to be talked about in public, then that kind of makes it challenging for us to, even if we do rice everybody else, to have a conversation about the rest of everybody in private.
Yeah. Now, if the conversation can't be split, they can't force it into public.
Right. Was it?
If the conversation can't be split, one person can't force the entire conversation into public.
Right.
If you're able to leave that, call it that one person discussion out and then still have a private discussion, you can do that.
The ranking system isn't perfect, but it at least gets us to a reasonable consensus of who's going to be on each of these boards.
I think the other problem here is, since we also move the election and we're not changing over till later in January, some of these seats expire at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So do we get people on these boards in time enough in January to be sitting on these boards?
Yeah, that's my concern, is that all the terms expire
December 31st.
December 31st.
So are there any other meetings before the 5th? Where's that scheduled?
No, there's not. The Board of Adjustment is the first meeting in 2026.
What date is that?
It's
the 8th. Yeah.
And then the following week is when the last 3 weeks in January is where almost every committee will meet.
So the Board of Adjustment is 2.
And would any appointments, if we did make appointments on the 5th, would they be immediately effective, or could we waive any cure period basically so that they were?
I'm not going to answer, but
Yeah, they could be immediately effective.
They can be effective immediately.
Yeah, it's a resolution for appointment.
wait, what? I'm sorry?
I said they can sit on the board immediately after the resolution is
Oh,
appointed.
yes. We don't do that.
Yeah.
The minutes basically we don't have to approve the minutes to make the appointment effective, do we?
No. So yeah. All right. Well, I'll hear a motion on how to proceed with this, and we'll vote on a way of proceeding. So the two options I'm hearing are, one is a ranked choice voting. Well, I guess there are three options. One is a ranked choice voting system that decides the appointments. Another is a ranked choice voting system that informs the appointments, and then we decide the position of the individuals after, as we pick our top people to be on the committee, and then we decide where they sit. And then our other option is to rice everybody and discuss them all in closed session unless somebody wants it in open session.
Isn't there another hybrid option where we're doing the ranked choice voting to just simplify the conversation, but then we can rice
That was option two.
but we still have to rice people in option 2 to have a conversation closed about relative positioning.
Or we simply waive doing that and we just make nominations and vote.
Then that's, yeah, I mean, that
denies us the ability to.
Because if
have
we're
a
going to
discussion
if we're going to
why.
rice everybody anyway, I don't see the need to do the ranked choice voting piece. We can just talk about, if we're going to have a closed session, we can talk about people in closed session. It doesn't make any sense to do both of those things. So
Yeah, I mean, or the other option is we just simply make nominations and they either pass or they don't.
correct. I mean,
We don't have any qualitative discussions.
That's how I wanted to do it years ago. Just nominate and have a vote. But and that saves a discussion on merits or whatever. We can do that certainly as well. I think that's the most certainly the most transparent option. So somebody make a motion.
Motion to rice?
A motion on how to proceed, and we'll vote on a process. I don't want anybody to say they've been left out of deciding how the process is done. So we'll do it by a motion as we conduct any other business. Yes.
I'll make a motion that we rice everyone and we have a conversation and close at the next meeting. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Council discussion.
Again, we run into the problem that if we have anyone that requests a public discussion, then we have to discuss all of those volunteers in public.
No, you just said we did not.
No.
It would just be the
Just
one.
that individual.
Just that individual, if you can split the conversation.
Or you can just simply not discuss that person at all.
Correct. If they're not going to be appointed, or if they are going to be appointed, you have no discussion about them, then you don't have to discuss them. You only have discussion if you have discussion, because the vote is still public. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, okay. Any other council discussion on that item? Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll on ricing everybody.
Councilwoman Holland?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro?
Sorry.
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 5-0. And I'll rice everybody this week because of the holidays.
I'm wondering if we might just be able to do some appointments because there's no contest on some of these. Just to let people know they'd be reappointed.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would probably not know it all together.
so they can hear. So the Environmental Commission
Brian?
only had one applicant. Now, the Environmental Commission is a mayor's appointment.
I'm sorry. He's
Oh.
asking if the Environmental Commission is a mayor
I
appointment.
believe that's a mayor appointment, right?
Well, I don't know them off the top of my head. I sent you the thing.
Oh, I'm
No?
sorry. No. It's
In E-code, it says it's a mayor's appointment, but did we figure out that that's not actually the thing?
correct. Brian, I'm going to pull it up.
I thought you sent him the list. I'm sorry.
You did.
I looked in E-code
It was
today.
the last time we appointed.
Correct, but it was the statute. I'll try to find it for Brian.
Environmental Commission, the township manager makes the appointment per 40:69A-98. Basically, the Environmental Commission is an administrative, it's not a policy-making body. And therefore, according to that statute, this is one of the statutes where if it relates to the mayor, it goes to the manager under this form of government.
So I don't think that's
4069A is the council manager, form of government under Faulkner.
I don't think that's how we've done it in the past. I think
Definitely
it's changed
haven't done it.
since then. Well, I guess we'll have to wait until next meeting to do that. Though the mayor has traditionally appointed the chair, so I'm going to, at the request of the Environmental Commission, reappoint Jessica Pearson as chairperson of the Environmental Commission, and we can We can do that now. As a mayor's appointment. And we'll get a opinion. I believe it was either the council or the mayor has always done that, Brian. I don't. All right. Moving down to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Again, Brian.
Maybe you should vote on that one right now.
On what?
That appointment.
Which appointment? No, that's just a mayor's appointment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the chairperson of the commission is a mayor's appointment. I just made it. It's done. The Environmental Commission, we have one renewal, and then we have a member to move up from alternate to public member. And at least in my calculations, Alina Stichka. So I'll move to reappoint Tina Schwartz and to appoint Alina Stichka as a public member, both terms expiring 12/31/2028. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. The motion's been made and seconded. Any council discussion?
I'm sorry, Mayor. This is for historic
Preservation.
preservation. Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Oh, you said environmental. I'm
You
sorry.
said environmental.
No, I originally said environmental, and then we couldn't agree on what the procedure for environmental is. So I moved on to historic preservation.
I'm sorry.
The historic preservation, you had the same issue.
And shade tree. And alternates on the land use board.
You could probably move VMAC.
Well, let's go. I mean, we have Open Space Advisory Committee. We have one person. I move Larry Raff for a term expiring 12/31/2028.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in, we'll do a roll call.
Councilwoman Holland?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro?
Yes.
All right, Larry Raff's appointment is approved 5-0.
Okay. All right, and moving down to the, I think it was VMAC had one applicant as well. I will move the following 4 individuals be reappointed for terms ending 12/31/2028. Colin Boyle, Carol Lynn Moy, Karina McKell, and Tim Schmidt. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, okay, he's getting appointed.
These are the 4 VMAC members. Any council discussion? We call the roll on those 4. Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm on my roster from VMAC, though I have Mr. Schmidt's appointment. He was already appointed. His appointment ends 12/31/27. And I think there's an open, Mr. Day resigned. There's an open seat
Okay.
for
'Cause
expiring.
Mr. Schmidt was in the
list of.
In the.
Oh, so there was confusion.
I'm sorry, he's also on the roster too. We did appoint him. That's why I wish we had.
So there's no openings.
Yes, there is one opening. Mr. Day resigned, did not want to be reappointed.
Okay. Well, I would still move Mr. Schmidt to have a term expiring 12/31/2028, and we'll leave the 27 term.
You already did appoint Mr. Schmidt.
He's just appointing him for the longer term, though.
The longer term.
Oh,
Let's give
okay,
him 3
so
years.
we'll have an open full term. Oh,
Yeah.
No, sorry, they're all, gotcha.
Okay. All right. And going back to the Township Attorney on the Environmental Commission, our code is, I just pulled up the code, and it is the mayor appoints the commission and the council appoints alternates.
And this is for the Environmental Commission?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a state statute that I refer to that you have to do an analysis as to whether or not it's an administrative or policy function. And there's also an ordinance that the council passed a long time ago that I don't think was totally put through the zoning book. when Mr. Cavallo was the manager, that said that the reference of mayor should be changed to manager for appointments based upon the statute.
That was, yes, that was in like the front of the book. But I have the statute out for it to the council.
We revised that. Didn't we pass an ordinance to revise that back to take it away from the manager? Because didn't Joe Diarco move that back?
I think you're right.
Yeah,
Yes,
we passed an ordinance to put it back in the governing body's hands. We actually moved it from manager back to mayor under the Diarco administration because I think it was Councilwoman Holland that actually brought it up.
That might be the case. I don't know that. I don't recall that.
No, he just, my questions, I think just relinquished them.
I think it just makes sense to just come back at a subsequent meeting after you've had an opportunity to review the records and provide the
The
advice.
statute I just forwarded to the council. But
Yeah, the clerk posed the question, so I have provided an opinion as to the weighing of the administrative versus the policy-making decisions of each of the. She asked the question for 5 different boards: zoning, environmental, historical, planning board, and shade tree. Zoning is made by the governing body, environmental commission is the manager, historic preservation is the manager, planning board followed the ordinance because the ordinance is correct. So the mayor has some, the council has some. And then the shade tree commission is again followed the township code where it says the township manager makes the appointment.
Yeah, well, we're just gonna have to table these and discuss them another time. But that was certainly not. We'll have to look into it. Yep.
May we discuss the multicultural committee?
We have the 2 high school students that we can put on.
Yes, the 2 high school students that we have to put on, and then the reappointment of Mr. Pimpinelli, Mr. Baja, and Ms. Chevalier, who are all very much participating members.
Okay. I just have to. Did we not have any other applicants for that?
We have 2 applicants.
Yeah, we have.
The 2 applicants are
the high school students. Yeah.
Yes, where we have openings.
So did you want to move those?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to move those 5 individuals.
Okay, I'll second that. So it'll be Mr. Pimpinelli, Mr. Vadia, Ms. Chevalier, Elisa Pena, and Sinaileen Akoff.
For what terms or term
The adult members are 12/31/2028. And the high school members are 12/31/2026.
I'm sorry, who's the second high school member?
Sinaileen Akoff.
Yep. 2 high school students.
Okay. Yep.
Because they have 1-year terms or the terms expire at graduation. Okay.
So we make a motion in a second.
Yep. Is there any council discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on those?
1 second, I'm so behind what you guys are doing. Councilwoman Holland?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro?
Yes.
Those appointments are made. I'm going to go back. I'm sorry. I was writing something else. I can't do it.
All right. And as the mayor's appoint, my alternate for the library board is Laura Desai. Just gonna. So.
Green team.
I thought we could make that in.
Green team. We had 2 applicants. We had more applicants than open positions.
The mayor's appointment, the mayor's designee follows the mayor's term.
Oh, so we have to wait until. Well, it'll be my designee until the next mayor is chosen on the 19th of January.
Oh,
because right now her
one spot open.
Her
I
term
understand what you're saying.
expired, so we have to appoint her for 19 days.
Understood.
So for the next night, for the first 19 days of January, Laura Desai is the mayor's alternate to the planning, to the library board. Just looking at the rent board. Okay, we do have, no, we can't do the rent board either. So at this point, I think we've made all the appointments that are not contested or not being reviewed by the township attorney at this point. Okay. All right. Do we hear a motion to, do we have any other closed session items?
Two brief items.
Okay. So we will be going into closed session. Any official action this time around?
No.
Nope. Okay. Have a nice day, everyone.